From town councils to Capitol Hill, agents who are realtors are advocating for what's right. We're working to increase affordable housing supply and ensure fair housing for all. Realtors are members of the National Association of Realtors. That's who we are.
Did you know Instacart delivers more than groceries? You can get tech, beauty, office supplies, sporting goods, and more, all delivered right to your door in as fast as an hour. So whether you're cooking dinner or your phone charger is cooked, you can save yourself multiple trips by shopping over 1,000 stores in the Instacart app. Visit instacart.com or download the app to get free delivery on your first order. Offer valid for a limited time. Minimum order $10. Additional terms apply.
What's up? It's your boy, the Ted Smith. Thanks for listening to the Men's Room Daily Podcast. Want more? Check out the greatest podcast in all the land, The Podcast. Be sure to subscribe and listen to a brand new episode every Tuesday night.
Unfortunately, what you're about to hear is real. The members of this radio program are simply not that bright, or what some people would call educated. They are merely stupid. They're not trying to offend anyone on purpose. And all have played doctors on TV. You have been warned and are cordially invited to join the party. This is the Men's Room.
Forget it, man, and get with the countdown. Get with the countdown. Shake this square world and blast off for Kicksville. The trippers, the grasshoppers, the hip ones, all gathered in secrecy and flying high as a kite.
This is the Men's Room with Miles and Thrill. You know what they say, shake your radio more than 3 times, and you're playing with it. You're listening to the Men's Room.
Attaboy. And away we go. Welcome to season 17, episode number 3756. Along with Steve the Thrill Hill, the Ted Smith, and my cock. And you are the Men's Room. On tap today, the return of Who Sucks Less. We will play Profile This, plus headlines, a Men's Room shot of the day, fun with listener emails, and everyone's favorite, TV Time with Ted. Click, clack. All right, here we go. A giant ninja bear has been terrorizing a dairy farm and cows for nearly 3 years. Meanwhile, a stripper performs for wheelchair seniors who shed many tears. Thieves break in a bar in England and steal $1,000 worth of gin. Toddler makes other kids cry with her terrifying doll with an evil grin. And a horny teenager steals a bus to go and visit his girlfriend. That is all coming on today's very special episode of The Men's Room.
And now, here's the question.
Hola, bitches. Good day to you and yours. All right, at some point in your past, in your future, or your current life, you'll experience the human roulette known as roommates. Now, roommates, for better or worse, they introduce us to all new types of experiences. Everything from choices of hygiene to willingness to contribute to chores, bathroom etiquette, personal boundaries, personal space, and, of course, a whole new host of aromas that may or may not be the result of their choice of food, or their laundry, or their armpits. Kind of dealer's choice on the smells there, but weird things go down with roommates that only seem to happen with roommates. For example, in Naples, Florida, a woman attacked a roommate with a pair of scissors because he stole her Thin Mint Girl Scout cookies. In a less violent but very pathetic circumstance, a person had to teach their roommate how to boil water. Let that just sink in for a second. Had to teach their roommate to boil water. Boil water. And one of my favorite examples, someone had a roommate that stole their bread. Now, having had roommates, that very sadly is not that unusual in the roommate world, but when they were questioned about it, she suggested that it may have been stolen by a ghost. And no, we're not kidding. And it only gets dumber from there. But today we're talking roommates, past, present, or what you anticipate might be your future. And look, some are good, some roommates are bad, some are weird, and some are just straight up scary. But if you've had a roommate, you got an answer to today's question, which simply is, for better or worse, who is your most interesting roommate? Be part of the big show. Call 206-421-ROCK. Like the Men's Room on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Men's Room Live. And send those emails to the Men's Room at KISW.com.
Black History Month has officially begun. But if you're looking for uplifting Black stories year-round, check out my podcast, Beyond Black History Month. I'm Famie Redwood, and with this year being the 50th anniversary of hip-hop, There will be lots of stories with all the icons.
Hip-hop was something that was just the most creative thing ever because it was just born really out of nothing.
Listen and subscribe to Beyond Black History Month on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcast from.
Rolls on. You're listening to The Men's Room with Miles and Thrill. 99.9 KISW.
Oh, Machella's, away we go. Welcome to Season 17, Episode number 3756. What a large and in charge program we have for you today on this lovely Wednesday. The exciting return of Who Sucks Less. Steve, you bring us 3 stories from the news. I don't know how you find these negative stories, but you find 3 of them each and every week. We pit them against each other to find out which one of the stories actually sucks the least. The cringes were coming early this morning as you were researching Who Sucks Less. Yeah, but the good news is I didn't use any of those stories. They were so bad. I'm like, I don't want to revisit this. So instead, there's a general pattern again. We'll call it a waste of resources. I think that's the general uniting theme to this. Not awful. You won't even be angry when you hear these. You're just going to say, I can't believe you had time on your hands to do this. Okay. More along those lines. Okay, fair enough. Return of Who Sucks Less coming up. Also, as we do every Monday through Friday from 6, you get more Men's Room at the Odyssey app. All you got to do is download it. It's absolutely free. Search for the Men's Room Happy Hour channel, and then join us at 6 o'clock as you get more Men's Room. And not only that, keep in mind, the content is adult content, the language is adult, and we prefer the children not be present if you happen to be checking out the Men's Room Happy Hour. We got some good news on that. Apparently, a lot of you are listening, so we appreciate you tuning in and checking it out. We have something very excited planned for you today on the Men's Room Happy Hour. I don't want to let the cat out of the bag yet. But he actually means that literally. We've had a cat in the bag for the last 3 days. We're going to wait till the happy hour and let that baby go. Oh, yeah. Feral barn cat. See what happens in the office. It should be a good time. So please join us then. And our question today, we're going to talk about roommates. Interesting article there on BuzzFeed about just roommates, whether it's good, whether it's bad, just interesting stories depending on who you live with. We'll start with this one. I used to live with 2 strippers. Needless to say, they were not early risers. One Sunday morning, we get a knock at the front door. 2 Jehovah's Witnesses. So Kay goes to the door. She invites them in for coffee. While buck naked. Kay is pretty impressive naked. Kind of built like China in her prime. Lots of tattoos and piercings. Needless to say, they left quickly. And we never had missionaries at our door again.
Missionaries.
Wouldn't you have stepped outside of the religion for just a moment? I'd have told all of my missionary friends, go to this address. Get there early because a naked woman will give you coffee.
Mm-hmm. I'm assuming they took it as a challenge.
What do you mean?
Like it's a test from God.
I'd be like, I failed. Go ahead and give me enough. I'll do a makeup test later. But today, I'm going to go ahead and...
They also might not have cared.
Now, here's 2 that I can relate to. I think for a fact that you know that one thing about roommates is food is a thing that sometimes is generally just taken as something that's shared. Even if it's not supposed to be. Wait. What do you say? That it is just assumed that it is shared, or it just seems like there's a lot more liberties as far as other people's food. Is it liberties or thefts? It's theft, but you would when you have roommates like right now with my family. I know goddamn well my kids will sneak some of my stuff. I'll snatch some of their cook. Sure, but at no point since I've had roommates have I felt the need to write my name in clear letters on a food product in the refrigerator. All right, well, look, if your son or daughter got $20 for their birthday and they wanted some kind of special cookies that they could get at the grocery store, and they went and they wanted to buy them with their own money. Sure. Now, you would know, like, look, they took their own birthday money. They went and bought these cookies. They are hers or his. Yeah. I will try one if they offer them to me, but I'm not going to eat one. I'm not going to. I'm not going to eat them all. I'm not going to eat them all. And you know they're counting the cookies. I know, probably. But I cop to it. Here's one. There are plenty, but one of my roommates used to sleepwalk and sleep talk almost every night. I was the only one who'd be awake whenever it would happen. I'd witness her cleaning our fridge, sealing our open bag of chips. I'd ask her, I would hear her quote Shakespeare in her sleep. What made her go back to bed was me asking her to sleep, and she'd look at me and close her eyes. Wherever I asked her if she recalled any of this, the answer was always no. And one more on the sleep walking thing. I used to cook dinner and always made enough to offer our roommate. He paid his bills and rent, always. But sometimes he did not have enough for food. So I would cook and say, hey, man, I want to have dinner with us. He would usually say, I don't really like whatever you're making. Fast forward to morning. All the leftovers are gone. His explanation, he must have been sleepwalking and ate it in his sleep. Right. This happened 15 to 20 times over a year period.
He would make these big song and dances about how what I was making was gross. So I would put up enough leftovers for two, my boyfriend and I, then go to bed. Well, that was supposed to be lunches for work. They were gone. Often dirty dishes and utensils were in the sink. Fast forward another 5 years. He calls me at 3 a.m. after not talking to me or my partner for 3 years and told my now husband that he was doing crack in front of our 4-year-old.
Oh, Jesus.
Mm-hmm. I called my husband, who was asleep. Neither of us had talked to him in years. What was this? Fast forward another 5 years. He's on death row for killing his roommate.
Oh, my God.
His defense? He did it while sleepwalking.
Ooh.
Yeah. And one more. Came home from my first day of classes to poop everywhere. Toilet seat, tile, bath mat, toilet paper holder, sink, carpet. Had a long discussion. Not acceptable. Happened again. Took 6 weeks to get her out of the apartment.
How do you have that? I don't feel like you should have to have a conversation about that. Like, hey, this is not acceptable.
No.
Like, hey, man, you got to clean it up. If you're going to do it, it's the same thing with the dog.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I get when you're trying to housebreak your dog, there's an accident in the house. And my theory was always this: look, if you could clean it up, this wouldn't be a problem.
Sure.
Like, I can poop on my floor. I choose not to, but I would clean it up.
It seems like once you stop with a roommate lifestyle of whenever that happens for you, you have a very hard time ever thinking that you could go back to that type of lifestyle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As far as living
100%.
with someone else. And even if it was a 2-bedroom with plenty of room and all the things that you need, and you actually like the person,
No.
and you could see yourself living with them, it's still a deal breaker.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I think I had moved out of the first house. There were 4 or 5 of us that lived there, kind of buried. Because some guys, like, they kind of lived there, but I'm not sure they were paying rent. Like,
Sure.
I knew there were 3 guys that were definitively my roommates. I had my buddy Tony, who was at my place more than I was, who never paid rent, but he would always make it a point. This is how Tony worked. Tony's like, yeah, I'm here all the time, man, but there's 7 days in a week, and on day 7, I go back to my place. I'm like, right, yeah. You should pay 6/7 of the rent, brother. You're here. You're sleeping in my bed when I get up to go to work. Love him to death. Still love him to this day. He was that guy. And then a few other guys that kind of couch surf. But when you're in your young 20s, I didn't care. It didn't matter. But then as time progressed, it broke off as just me and Leon living together. Very interesting. He was annoying to live with only because he's the ugliest man I've ever known, and he got more women than any guy that I've ever known. And so every time I came home, just dry as hell in a desert of ass, he's in there just slaying it all the time. And with an ugly face, and he'd always give me the same goddamn smile because he knew. And he would tell you, I'm ugly, but I get laid a lot.
Look, I had a roommate who was from out of town. He was from West Virginia, but he was basically in the middle of 2 very small towns.
All right.
He knew everybody in these 2 small towns. So anytime that he had a friend or a girl that he knew that came in from one of those 2 towns to either go to the university, go to a football game, come in for the weekend, because there really wasn't a lot to do there, but it was an hour and a half away from Morgantown, which is a pretty good party spot. People would come in just to spend the weekend and party. He was always in that bedroom with the door locked for hours with somebody who was from one of those 2 towns.
Sure.
I mean, and trust me, there was plenty of women. It's a university. Same as you. I would come home alone every night. He would have somebody who just happened to come in for the weekend that he knew from high school or that he grew up with.
I knew people from high school.
I did too. But
I grew up with people.
Yeah, me too.
I did not get laid.
I did not either.
I could introduce them to Leon, and they're like, ooh, I thought I liked you. Who's your ugly friend? Like, just go have sex with him.
Well, trust me. I mean, you know what Burris looks like.
Yeah. I don't know why
it
you
was
live with
just
that
me and
dude.
him. Right, he was a great roommate, but same thing. I mean, there was not only was there chicks, but then one girl he dated was extremely annoying. And
Is that the one I met?
Yes.
Numbers again?
And she, numbers again, the Michael Vick ride. She opened up a fortune cookie, Mike, and went, damn it, numbers again. I'm not lying.
Right.
But it got to the point where, like, I just said, hey, she can't be over here when you're not. Because she just started hanging out. And then, like, I would have to sit on the couch and have a conversation with her, which went nowhere.
I cannot explain it. So Ted had not liked her for a little bit. I hadn't met her yet. One night I finally meet her. We're at the bar. She's like, hey, you want to smoke a bowl? I say, cool, man. So we go to her Jeep in the parking lot. We smoke a bowl. I don't remember the conversation, but we're there for 5 to 10 minutes, right? Typical bowl smoking time. And I came in, and I looked at Ted, and I said, look, man, I can't explain what this experience was like, but either she is the dumbest person on the face of this planet, or she is a comedic genius. But I couldn't tell which. Ted's like, no, she's stupid. I said, okay, now I know. I've never, ever met anyone that dumb. Not who's an adult.
Right.
Correct.
I also shared a room.
Keep in mind, She had a 4.0 in college.
Yeah.
How?
How
It
can't
can't
be
be
at
that
this
hard.
point.
Well, because she could repeat. She could pass classes with an exceptional level.
Yeah.
So she's like a parrot. She can repeat the information you've given her, but just like a parrot, knows nothing else.
Here were the two greatest things about the guy that would get laid every night. His grandmother had a chicken farm. When I mean a chicken farm,
That is great.
She had probably 2 or 3 major chicken coops that were subcontracted out.
Oh, damn. Okay.
On her property. So everything was automated as far as the feeding goes, and she'd start with peeps and she'd work her way up. And, for a long time there, she was doing roasters, which take the longest amount of time. But at some point in time, the chicken wing boom hit.
Okay.
And, her business just exploded. Every time Chad would go home, he would bring back a box of chicken wings, thighs, which were our favorite. Some of them were breaded. Some of them were plain. Mm-hmm. And it was all packaged from the people at Wampler who sublet the farm. So he would go, and they were kind of like the Purdue of the area.
Yeah.
So they were in grocery stores and everything else. But one of the deals was, look, you're going to get chicken, no matter what. And they were big ass, like industrial strength boxes that you would find like at a restaurant grocery store size.
Yeah.
So, we would pack our refrigerator full of chicken. This was one of the greatest thing ever. That was the bonus. Now, the negative part about it was, based on the water in our apartment, Chad would go to the bathroom, but he would start the shower, which was not the worst thing in the world, but he always took a hot shower. We had an open door policy in there as far as, being able to, go in and brush your teeth, use the bathroom real quick, somebody's in the shower. That was just the way it went. But he would always drop a huge heater. And he would do it with a hot shower running, which made the shower worse. But he would wait to flush the toilet, supposedly, until he got out of the shower because he didn't want the water to, get, hot or whatever the deal was. I can't remember. But either way, he would always forget to flush the toilet. So like clockwork, every day when you would come home, there is a waterlogged turd that, has grown 3 times its size.
Much like the Grinch's heart.
Yes, exactly. And it was in there every single day. And I'm like, Chad, man, you've got we had a very small living room, and it was right beside the bathroom. The door was open. So as soon as you opened the door into the apartment, it smelled like poop because he would leave the lid up. I don't know how he forgot to do this.
I've said, I went through a bad period when I would do that because I would do the same thing, just get right in the shower.
Yeah.
But I would at least have the lid closed, and I live by myself. So if I came home, it was a bad mistake. But if the lid's open,
yes, you should.
There's no way you can walk into a bathroom where a lid is open and not see in the toilet.
That's exactly
correct.
I've done it to myself. Same thing. You take a dump, close the lid, hop in the shower. But then on occasions, I would just hear "Steven," and I realized it's my wife, and I'm like, I forgot to flush the toilet, didn't I? And like you said, it's kind of like, Count Chocula turns to milk chocolatey. It's like that, but not cool.
Right.
So what I realized I do now is if I have to poop before I go in the shower, the break in between, I will flush the toilet immediately because I kept forgetting. But I'd flush the toilet, I will brush my teeth and do something else. And by the time I'm done doing that, the toilet stopped running and my shower's fine.
See, my problem is the apartment that I'm in right now, the toilets are a little bit on the lower flow side. So it's not that I forget. It's that
everything doesn't go down.
I don't double check. And it's gotten to the point where I feel like a kid growing up in Mr. Hill's house. I will leave the bathroom and I hear, I'm about to go in there. Do I get a surprise when I get in there this time?
I hope you do.
God.
And my other roommate who I live with
Your
Chad,
toilet should never be like a box of Cracker Jacks.
Joe's a great guy. I love living with Joe. We did share a bedroom. The bedroom was huge. It was a big ass bedroom. It could have been anything. I don't know how. The design of this apartment was very strange, but it was older. So we had 2 king-size beds.
You could fit 2 king.
That's how big this bedroom was. It was
huge.
It was like a hall, kind of a thing. But Joe was 6'4". He was from Shenandoah, Pennsylvania. He was Polish. He was 6'5". He played offensive tackle for the football team, and he was hairy. And when I mean he was hairy, he was absolutely covered in hair. He always had the clippers on the sink, and he would go in all the time and buzz himself. All right. Well, we had kind of like one of those fuzzy rugs in the bathroom or whatever. But there was hair everywhere. On your toothbrush, on the toothpaste. You name it. If it was on the sink, he would just, and he'd ask you to go in there and shave his back for him, whatever I could, his shoulders and stuff.
Good
like
roommate. Burris used to hook me up.
But the problem with that was, I'll never forget. One day I get out of the shower, and I walk into my bedroom, and I go to put my socks on. And I sit down, and I put one leg up, and I look down, and my entire bottom of my foot looks like I'm a bear. It's covered
so gross,
in
man.
hair. It's covered in Joe's body hair because it was all on that rug. So my wet ass feet are just absolutely. It looked like I had fur slippers on.
Right.
I'm just like, damn it, Joe. He's also the guy that would have sex and come out in the middle of it, buck naked, no problem, with a rager,
right?
And walk into the bathroom, put like 3 pumps of Jergens in his hand, start lubing himself up, walk by me in the living room, go like, yeah, man, getting kind of dry in there. He just close the door. Of course, my bedroom, that's my bedroom.
That's your bedroom.
So I can't go in there. I got to wait for Joe to finish. Sometimes I'd be like, damn, Joe, it's like, it's been 40 minutes, man.
Come on, man.
God darn it. Like,
He's putting in work.
All I need to do is go in there and get my wallet or whatever it is. Like, I want to leave. My keys are in there or whatever the deal was. It's just like, I'm trapped. I'm just like, I can't. What are you going to do? Knock on the door? Go in? A couple times like, Joe, I need to come in, man. I'll close my eyes. He's like, yeah, man, come on in. And of course the girl's like, hi, Miles. Like, how you doing?
Oh, hi.
Yeah, when I lived with all those dudes in Baltimore, that was the same way. I won't say which roommate, but same thing. He was notorious. But he'd be like, no, come on in, dude. Like, did you guys just stop? Oh, we're playing a game.
Yeah. Okay.
No, like, that was like, he was like, yeah, we're just going to sit here for 30 seconds. Get whatever you need. But like, she's naked. He's naked.
Right.
They're intertwined.
Sure. For better or worse, who is your most interesting roommate? 206-421-ROCK.
99.9 KISW. The shenanigans continue. This is the men's room with Miles and Thrill.
For better or worse, who is your most interesting roommate? 206-421-ROCK.
Here's an interesting one from the text line. My old roommate Tommy takes the cake. He would sweep hair under the rug after manscaping. He would almost always throw up after taking a bong hit. He once left a cup full of vomit on the coffee table for days, thinking it wasn't a big deal. But to top it off, there was an insane amount of drama between him and his girlfriend. He cheated on her, gave her chlamydia, and then she cheated on him and got knocked up by his dad. Absolutely hysterical.
Oh,
damn, Jesus. Hello, Riley. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola.
Hola.
All right, so this happened years ago, back when I was living in good old Wenatchee, Washington. I was sharing a house with 2 other guys, and one of the guys he traveled a lot. We didn't really see each other often. The other guy, we did not get along really over everything. He was a slob. He was this, that. Anyway, well, I get a call one day from the owner of the house, the landlord, and he says, you have 30 days to vacate the property. And I said, why? What's going on with this? I paid my rent on time. I don't understand what's happening. He said, well, I do not tolerate crack use in my property. I said, what are you talking about? And he goes, look, I'm not going to get into a debate with you, but I talked with the other roommates there, and they told me what you're doing. I need you out. And it's like, well, what's this? I mean, this is really out of the blue here. So I go upstairs and I ask the guy about what happened, and he said, well, I found your little cut-up squares of foil in the kitchen cabinet. What else could you be doing? I was like, so you're telling me that you found a bunch of cut-up squares of foil in the kitchen cabinet, the ones that I use to cover my dog's, like, wet food when I'm not using, like, because I only use half a can at a time? I was like, those cut-up squares of foil? You told the landlord I was smoking crack? What's wrong with you? And he kept denying. He's like, well, I know you must be. I know you have to be doing it. It's like, no, that's insane. And the kicker about this was that I was doing a lot of drugs at the time in that house, but crack was not one of them.
Right.
If I get kicked out for something, it should be for something that I did.
Agreed. What drugs were you doing that were not crack at the time?
Oh, the LSD, the Molly, the fun stuff. Crack was, however, something that I've never partaken in. I didn't even know foil was. I don't even know if that's. I've never done it before. And it's like, well, what are you up to, man? How do you know that foil is used for that? And so, yeah.
Do you think your roommates honestly thought you were doing crack, or since you said you did not get along with them, they figured, here's an easy out. Let's tell the landlord he's smoking crack?
Either that or he really is just a complete idiot or something. I don't know. Either way, it just blew my mind. And I ended up leaving just peacefully anyway because I was tired of his crap. I didn't want to be involved in that scenario anymore.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to live with that person. I mean, no matter what the scenario was, don't appreciate what you did at all.
Right.
But I definitely know that it's either me or you here.
And one thing I would say, and look, Riley, you admitted that you did drugs back in the day. One thing I found to be universally true is that people that are doing drugs, their paraphernalia is in their room. It is in close proximity to their You don't leave your drugs in the kitchen. You don't leave your drugs
anywhere. Not in the kitchen cabinet. Who keeps it there?
Right. If you have drugs, you keep them in your room.
That's what I'm saying. If you think your roommate's doing drugs and you want to partake in their drugs, you need to look in the room. It's not just randomly. That's the thing about drugs. And it doesn't matter how old you get. It's like when I was Paris Hilton. She was in Vegas probably 10, 15 years ago, talking to the cop. The bag of cocaine falls out of her purse on the strip in front of the cop. She's like, oh, I'm holding it for a friend. No, you're not. Your friends will not hand you a bag of cocaine unless your friend says, hey, I'm giving you a bag of cocaine to do.
Well, and her assistant took the fall.
Did she?
I'm almost positive.
That
the
makes
word
sense.
on the street is her assistants last about 8 months to a year. They can't handle the lifestyle.
I'm sure it's probably changed now a little bit, but she seems to have dialed it down a bit. But at the time,
I think she was also like an elite partier.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, she was a professional partier.
Yeah.
That was like the whole social thing that started it all.
Like, I never liked her, but I would have wanted to hang out with her.
And this guy's right. Crack's different.
Right.
I've gone to a lot of festivals and stuff. I've seen a lot of people, some psychedelics or whatever. But if somebody pulled out like, oh, I want to do some crack, I'm like, get the hell away from my can.
And most people would have frowned on you.
Yeah.
Right? At a big festive kind of event, like, don't break out crack. We have the illegal drugs. These are the illegal drugs that we have agreed to.
Right.
Crack is not welcome here.
I had a situation with it one time in Baltimore. I was at a row house, and the guy's like, hippie dude. He's like, hey, man, you want to go outside and smoke a bowl? I was like, sure, man, why not? So I got on the deck, and I hit it, and I take a big hit, and I'm like, and this chemical just cloud blew out of my mouth. And I'm like, oh, God, what is that? And he's like, oh, it's crack, man. I'm like, I just smoked crack? And he's like, yeah, man. He's like, I was like, you said you want to smoke a bowl, dude.
Right.
And so all of a sudden, like, and it hits you like in 20 seconds. You're like, ah. Then you're just flying for about 5 minutes. So I'm sitting there and I'm pissed. Like, I walk out the front door. I'm like walking up and down the sidewalk, like, I cannot believe I just open up the door, and I finally started to settle down. Then like 10 minutes go by and start thinking about it. I'm like, where'd that guy go?
Yeah,
right. Where is he? I wonder if he's doing that anymore.
But who says you want to smoke a bowl and it's not weed?
That was my point.
That's
that was my point.
Hey, man, you want to do a line, and then you hit it, and you're like, what? Oh, it's meth. Like, no. You got to come up with a different term. Come up with your own words for your drugs.
For better or worse, who is your most interesting roommate? 206-421-ROCK.
Hello, John. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola, friends.
Hola.
So I have actually a story about a good roommate. I figured you're probably going to hear a lot of bad ones today, and I have my share of bad ones, but I'll share a good one.
All right.
It was about 20 years ago in Florida, back when you had to look at the newspaper ads to find the roommate. I was looking for a room to rent, either the place to live, and it's always a roll of the dice whenever you're looking for a roommate out of a newspaper. And I actually got lucky. I showed up to a house. The dude was super cool. The house is a bachelor pad. There's a pool table in a living room. There's a poker table for the dining table, big screen TV, smoking lounge. The dude is super cool, always had some of the best weed I've ever had back when it was very difficult to find. But what made the story memorable is one time I show up home from work, and at the kitchen table, so at the poker table, there's an older, bold hillbilly sitting there that I'd never seen before, just drinking a coffee on the phone. I asked my roommate, I go, who's this? Like, well, I honestly don't know. The guy just showed up at the door and said, hey, I'm your Uncle Bill. I need a place to stay. And he seemed friendly, so I said, all right. And for the next 3 weeks or so, Uncle Bill just sat there at the poker table every day, was up super early, would make coffee at 5 a.m. We never found out what he really did for a living because he was always on a phone. He said he was a meat dealer, coordinating the transport of different meat, whatever that meant. But every morning at 5 a.m., he'd get up, he'd make coffee. I'd be out the door at 7 a.m., he would pour me a fresh cup, and he would always put a couple of shots of Canadian Mist in my coffee. So we're ready to go every single morning. And I would come home, there would always be dinner because my roommate and I would never cook. Uncle Bill always cooked, and to this day, the best ribeye steak that I have had in my life, and I have spent the last 20 years trying to track down a ribeye steak that was as good around the world. I have never had a ribeye steak as good as Uncle Bill had made. And one day we just came home and he was gone.
Now, was he actually your roommate's uncle?
No. My roommates had never seen him before. The dude just showed up at the door and said, "Hey, I'm your Uncle Bill. I need a place to stay."
But he never caused a problem. He just cooked, made coffee, and sold whatever the hell he was selling.
That's it. He was always on a phone, coordinating deals of transport of whatever he was transporting, made coffee, made us great dinners. It was great company, honestly. A cool dude.
That's a very Florida story.
That is
man.
really weird.
What part of Florida were you in?
That was the beautiful Jacksonville, Florida.
Ooh.
Jacksonville.
Wow.
The deep South, Georgia.
Right.
I mean, right. That's I tell everybody that Jacksonville is just deep Georgia.
It is.
Which is weird. St. Augustine is not.
No, St. Augustine is beautiful, but Florida is the only state where you got to drive north to get south.
Right. You're right. But it's weird because, and we always say this, like, all right, people's perception of Florida, aside from the craziness, but when you picture the activity, when you say Florida, people picture Miami. And that's not accurate because when you picture Miami, you're picturing South Beach. South Beach is South Beach. Miami is Detroit with trees. Most of the rest of Florida is Georgia, right?
It is.
So if you go to Florida
and
you're not going
if you're in
to
the Panhandle, it's a little bit wanky because you have Panama City and you have southern Alabama.
Right.
So that is where it really starts getting weird when you start heading west.
I think Orlando is the one place that's pretty much what you think it's going to be because unless you're visiting family in Orlando, you're either going to Universal or you're going to Disney, right? And they will deliver exactly what it is that the experience you paid to get. But like Orlando itself, a little strange.
Well, and people in Florida, like they have their own ranking system.
What do you mean?
So like my buddy married a girl, her family's from Miami.
Okay.
So we had the wedding in Miami. That's what I first heard in Miami. Florida, the farther northern you go, the more southern it gets.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But they judged the crap out of like this crazy aunt. And I was like, what makes her crazy? And they're like, well, first she's from Orlando, Central Florida. And I was like, oh, there's like a caste system here. And they were like, oh yeah, man, those Central Florida people are weird.
They are. Because basically they're in the middle of nowhere.
They're in a swamp.
Yes,
Yeah.
you have a choice. You can live on the Gulf of Mexico or you can live on the Atlantic Ocean. Both are beautiful. They're both decent places to live along both coasts for a fact. You chose to live in the middle of basically the one area where the worst thunder showers happen. There's the most humidity. It gets hot.
Snakes,
humidity,
panthers,
alligators.
Right.
It's aardvarks
swamp.
everywhere. Like there's no real rats. They're all aardvarks.
Most people don't voluntarily live. Like if
Not
you say,
aardvarks.
hey,
What are the ones with the shells called?
Armadillos.
Armadillos.
But
Yeah,
you think about it. You say a lot of people want to live in a mountainous area because it's gorgeous. A lot of people want to live in a desert, kind of a painted desert thing, Arizona. It's gorgeous. Some people want to live in the woods. Some people want to live in the open plains. Some people want to farm. Some people want to live on the coast. I have never, ever in all of my years met anyone who said, man, if you give me any landscape, I want to live in a swamp. But Central Florida is exactly that. Like, that's the mentality.
But I've been at Disney World in the summertime, July 4th, where like some of the areas you can take these little boats back and forth, but they're man-made ponds and everything. But you see water moccasins just swimming along in there.
Right. My grandmother's mother married a guy later on in life after her first husband passed on, and he lived in the middle of Florida. I remember going down there to visit. There was a porch out front with two chairs and the whole deal. You're on a dirt road. You pull into a dirt driveway. You park underneath a tree or whatever the hell you do. But he always had a shotgun leaning up against the front of the door, right beside his chair. It was there all the time. He was using it to shoot whatever the hell was out front of his yard.
Right.
Yeah.
But no one messed with a gun. No one would ever come up there. It just was there for that reason.
But it's like having a Ring camera on your doorbell. People understand the rifle is not for you as a human being. It's for all of the things that live probably in
It was
your
a
yard.
nice gun. It was like a 30-06. He just had the shotgun that was leaned up against basically right beside the door. And I just remember my grandfather, when we went down there, like, yeah, don't touch the gun. Because I was probably 6-7 years old.
Sure.
And I knew how to shoot a BB gun and some things, but I never shot a gun with a kick to it. I was too small.
My in-laws they ended up inheriting a condo in Del Rey. All right,
so that's a nice area.
It is. All right, it's a decent area. It's about 90 miles north of Miami. It's right on the coast. It's a beach town, which is really, really cool. Condo's like 2 or 3 miles away from the beach. Anyway, there's a gas station maybe half a mile away at a major intersection. And I'd walk down there to get smokes. So the first time we went, it's just me and my wife. This is pre-kid. We're like, cool, whatever. So when we get back, talking to the in-laws, and her father's like, hey, did you ever take a walk down Alligator Alley? I'm like, nah, dude. Like, I don't need all that. I don't need. And he goes, did you walk down to that gas station? I said, yeah. He's like, you took a walk directly in the middle of Alligator Alley. I'm like, what? So when you walk down the street, there's their little condo areas, maybe 12 condos. There's a golf course that I cannot see, but it's on the golf course. And then there's just all this tall grass and all these trees that overhang. Apparently, and all this tall grass and where these tall trees are over, it's just full of gators.
It is. It totally is.
But I'd walk down at night, and I'm glad I did not know that, because I probably would not have walked down to the gas station at night knowing that.
Yep.
Like, yeah, be careful. I'm like, well, it wasn't.
There is a bar in the middle of the Alligator Alley, and I've been there twice. They have one of the best grouper sandwiches I've ever had in my life. It is old. There are license plates up all over the inside of the bar, from older Florida plates to just anybody who brought a license plate. They come down, they nail it into the wall.
Sure.
So like the whole wall is just different types of license plates. The entire perimeter of this bar is nothing but coolers full of bottled beer from everywhere.
Okay.
You go in there, you take whatever beer you want. You pop it, they'll give you an ice cold mug, you go sit at your table, you keep your beer caps.
Right.
Or you kept your pull tabs if you got a can of beer.
All right.
You put them on the table, and at the end, you would walk up to the counter with all your tabs, and they would ring you up. Conversely, they were also on a lagoon, and there was a deck out back where you could see the water and everything. The kitchen was kind of in a spot where it was on the deck, so to speak.
All right.
You know, with a vent fan and a back storage room and everything else. When they cleared your plate, they would walk out to the deck and scoop everything into the swamp. Chicken bones.
Sure.
Anything that you did not eat. And the alligators were down there waiting. And they would just feed. I'm not even sure, other than cans and bottles, they ever took the trash out. Other than the paper products and everything else.
Right.
Because they fed the alligators all the chicken bones, all the scraps, all the they would fillet a grouper, they'd throw it out. So
Probably kept them at bay.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like, there's no need to attack anything. Hang out here, you will get fed.
But it was the damnedest thing you'd ever see. Like, yeah, they're feeding the alligators. Walk out. I was like, this is insane. And it was just completely normal. It was completely normal. I thought the cab system was great.
I do like that. That would be a great way.
I've never seen that before. But just the idea of feeding the alligators with whatever you didn't eat, this was just...
It's swamp life, Miles.
The swamp life. The damnedest thing I've ever seen.
Life.
You have a trash compactor.
Yeah.
Which was just crazy.
But I'll be honest, if I'm working at that restaurant, I would be excited to feed the gators. Right? At the end of the night, if I know, hey, man, the one perk of this job, it's hot, it's miserable, the people suck, but it's kind of cool to scoop chicken bones into the water and watch the gators feed.
I mean, that is cool. I would just worry about the gators now just hanging out underneath the dock all the time.
But you know they're down there. But here's the thing. But if they know for a fact that you're going to constantly feed them, like, don't worry about it. I think it'd be more worrying if they're hanging out under the dock and we don't feed them all the time.
Yeah.
Right? Because they have no motivation to attack us right now. They just know this is a place to go where food rains from the heavens and they get to eat it.
Mm-hmm. And it's also weird. It's like you get to a certain age, and not that there's anything wrong with this, but outside of like a sporting event, like if you take a shot of liquor, it's generally not in a little tiny plastic cup.
That is very true.
Whereas Florida, especially Central Florida, it all comes in a little plastic cup.
All right.
That's what I'm saying.
We don't do glass here.
Right? It's like cans, bottles of beer, and little plastic shot glasses.
But the thing about the plastic shot, they're smaller than the glass ones. That's what sucks.
Oh, wow.
It does. No, it sucks, Dad.
They're normal size.
You know what? God damn it, you're right.
Because look, there's some bars I go to where I know the bartenders, and someone will go, do you want to do a shot here? And I'm like, not here. Mm-hmm. And they're like, why? And I'm like, I know this bartender, like, they're going to be way too big.
What? Man, I'm not going to say the names. There's like two places I go specifically because every time I sit down, they know what I'm going to get. I get my beer, I get the shot of Jack. They always ask if you want a double. And there's one bartender, I love her to death because she stares you in the eye. And you're just watching Jack just splash into this glass. And I'm like, I like how you overserve, Mama. Keep it up.
I like you overserve.
For better or worse, who is your most interesting roommate? 206-421-ROCK.
What's up? It's your boy, the Ted Smith. Thanks for listening to the Men's Room Daily Podcast. Want more? Check out the greatest podcast in all the land, The Podcast. Be sure to subscribe and listen to a brand new episode every Tuesday night.
99.9 KISW. We return to the men's room with Miles and Thrill.
A couple more for you. First college roommate rarely did laundry and would borrow my underwear. Ugh. Especially for dates and then return them dirty. I told him in unequivocal terms to keep his hands off my junk. But he'd borrow whatever he needed all the time anyway.
I think that he returned them.
And what does that mean? Dirty.
Worn.
But also, he went on a date.
Right. So I'm like, I'm worried about poop stains and other stains.
Exactly. The other stains more than the poop stains.
Yeah, like pre-stains, if you will.
Exactly.
I taught our roommate how to boil water. Iced tea was the first thing, other than sandwiches and salads, that she had ever made.
Well, again, it's boiling water, right? So certainly you have seen water boiling. Wouldn't you just think, hey, every time I've seen water boiling, it's in a pot. So if I put this water in the pot and then put the pot on the thing that I know gets hot, which is the stove, eventually this will come to pass?
You would think so.
You would hope so.
Guys, my college roommate didn't know how to do laundry before we started school. We had a community washer and dryer on the floor. Probably the third week, I went down to get a soda from the machine. And I walk in, and there are bubbles 4 inches deep on the floor.
Oh, no.
My roommate walks in behind me to check his laundry. He put 3 full scoops of Tide in the washer with his load. I had to take him to an off-campus laundromat to wash off all the excess soap out of his clothes. Our question, for better or worse, who is your most interesting roommate? 206-421-ROCK.
Hello, Jay. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola, bitches.
Hola.
All right, so this is this took place in the late 90s, back when the rave scene was kind of banging in Seattle area. And I had a roommate that lived with me during this time, and we'd go to parties and, take our psychedelics, pop our Molly, that kind of stuff, just to go have fun. Well, after the raves were over, everybody wanted to go back to somebody's house, and, because when the party's over, the party's not really over. You know what I mean?
It just moves locations.
You want to keep partying.
Mm-hmm. Of course.
Right. So we would go back to our place, and this happened one time, and let me tell you why. We get back to my apartment, and my roommate, Pat, we had about 20 people in our apartment, alternative, music blasting, everybody's having a great time. This guy takes off his shoes, takes off his socks, starts chewing his toenails in the middle of the party.
No.
And to make it worse, started then feeding them to his dog.
Oh, my God.
So not only was he sitting there in front of all these women that, one of us was hoping to go to bed with that night, that ended the party real quick.
I bet it did.
I mean, did everyone just kind of come down off their high? Like, wait a minute, man. I might be high, but this ain't okay.
Right. Well, and this is a guy in normal life would not do this. You know what I mean? Like, this is a guy who was, pretty straightforward OCD. His room was always immaculately clean. But for some reason, you pop a Molly in this guy's mouth and he goes nuts.
That's weird.
That is very strange.
I'd take Molly on hug old ladies.
Also very flexible.
Yeah, very, very, very flexible.
Sure.
Hey, guys, long-time listener, first-time caller. Thanks for having me up, guys. I really appreciate you guys. You guys make my work day much better. I'm out here delivering packages, so you guys make my day go by a lot faster, so I appreciate you guys.
I'm glad that the thing that got you to call in is that you had a roommate that used to eat his toenails after a rave.
Right. Exactly.
That is a strange one, man. I mean, I've been to a lot of parties. See people just staring at the ceiling, staring at lasers, but eating your toenails?
Because you're high. And right, like you said, I've seen a million different reactions to being high on a million different drugs, seeing it all, don't care, don't judge. If they need help, you help. If they're just having a good time, leave them alone, but never, hey man, when I get up on Molly, bro, I just start eating my toenails. It's awesome. It's not. And don't. And if you do feel the absolute need to do that, just go in your room by yourself. Just think about it. You're trying to get laid. Everyone's in a good frame of mind, right? Especially after a rave. You killed it for everyone.
Yeah.
Because you ate your toenails. I'm not eating my toenails. You're eating your toenails. Now, I'm not getting laid because you... and then fed them to the dog.
For better or worse, who is your most interesting roommate? 206-421-ROCK.
I will say, for better, when I lived with Burris, but we also lived with Sut for a while. And that guy, this sums up to me what the ideal roommate is.
All right.
We're sitting there. It's the fall. I think we're watching Major League Baseball playoffs. We watch the game for an hour. And he goes, this is great. We don't even talk. Love having you as a roommate, brother. And we watched the rest of the game.
Yeah.
That was it.
But that's it.
I had a roommate, man. His thing was he did end up basically, he has his own barbecue setup now.
Okay.
But it's like a professional grade barbecue setup.
Yeah.
But he would barbecue every weekend.
All right.
So he got a really nice Weber. You could just smell the charcoal burning. we would go buy whatever meat we could afford to the point, and he would just basically just sit there and grill it up. Sometimes he'd bring ribs. I don't think we ever did anything like as crazy as a brisket because we couldn't afford it. But for the most part, if you could throw it on the grill and it was meat, it started at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon on Saturday or Sunday. You could smell it. It was
but inevitably,
clockwork.
That's the problem. There's always a roommate that can cook, but you never have enough money, right, to actually eat the stuff that they can. Like every once in a while, maybe their parents came by for something and they drop off, kind of the care package that involved food. Then you got lucky, but otherwise, Leon could cook his ass off. We couldn't afford anything to eat, but he's like, man, my roommate, if we had the money, I could make this. Don't tell me this.
My roommate was a cook. He worked at a bar, and they served pretty good food, but he just loved to barbecue. So it was every Sunday at 2 o'clock almost, right around that point in time, that he would fire it up. And as soon as you started to smell the charcoal, one of us would jump into the car. Like, what do you need? Do you need buns? What do we need? Like, what are we doing today? It was just really something to look forward to because there's still a later football game at 4 on the East Coast.
Sure.
So
Correct.
You're eating dinner and it's always grilled
Even if somebody
food,
knows how to grill stuff correctly, right? Like I have a buddy, I don't eat chicken legs the leg part, right? But he just buys packages of cheap ass drumsticks, and the way he cooks them, it takes forever. But they're awesome.
Yeah.
And they're they're spicy but good enough.
He would cook things off heat.
Yeah.
He would adjust his Weber so he could flash stuff and then stick it to the side, and he'd lift the lid and the entire grill would be covered in meat product. And the smell, there's something about somebody who takes the time to do, I know it's charcoal.
Sure.
But the smell of charcoal, even with a lighter fluid and everything else, it's one thing to have a gas stove and fire it up. But when a charcoal grill gets going, it just kind of gets you fired up.
It does, but we just never had money, man. And if we did have money, it always went to drugs before it went to anything. Yeah. You'd pay your rent, pay whatever bills, which you had left. Guaranteed drug money. However, the one thing we did figure out, at this point, I was bouncing between Chi-Chi's and, what was it, Paolo's Pizza at the time, all right? Leon working at McDonald's. All of my other roommates are working different jobs, so Leon and I were always the food hookup. I've never eaten so much McDonald's in my life. But he's like, look, man, you would come home with 50 burgers. He's like, yeah, I don't care, man.
I had a buddy who worked at a sub shop, which was the greatest thing in the world.
Perfect.
French fries. His car did smell like French fries. But every night was a mistake. He'd come home with 4 or 5 mistakes. Some of them were legitimate mistakes.
Some of them, yeah.
Some of them. The majority of them were not. However, you could count on it because it closed at 11 or 12. If you stayed up, you got a sub coming your way.
Yeah, that's it, man.
Dude, I have a buddy that does it now. Sometimes on the weekends, if he's not busy, he'll deliver pizzas for a place. And same thing, if he's coming over later, he'll be like, we got a mistake one. Should I bring it? Like, goddamn right, bring it.
Yeah, I don't care what's on it.
Right.
It doesn't matter. It could be a veggie pizza. Just bring the damn thing home.
I remember one of the greatest nights of my life up to that
Because
point.
it's free. You're like, this is the best pizza I've had.
I was 15 years old. It's probably 9 o'clock at night. I was with my buddy Rich. We had seen some movie, and we're walking back to his house, and his car pulls up beside us, and there's a pizza delivery guy, and it's just like, fellas, if you got $5, you can have the rest of. And he opens the lid. He had eaten 2 slices himself. And he's like, look, it's the wrong order. Whatever went wrong, but it's an extra large pepperoni pizza. It's like 2 slices of each. If you got $5, we scrounged. I think we had $4.97 by the time. It's like, good enough. And me and Rich were like, this is the way to live. For the rest of my life, dude, I'm just going to stroll the streets and wait for delivery drivers to hook me up.
And I would say that as a teenager, nothing's more exciting than having soda and pizza. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'll be honest, to this day, right? Somebody's like, we got pizza and some soda. I'm like, what a day.
Yeah.
Right? You still get excited.
I had another roommate, Joe, and Joe had a projection television. Which you projected up on a screen. So it had its little base. Sometimes they hang them from the ceiling.
Right.
Sometimes we put it on the coffee table. He also had a DVD player. His mom was an endless supply of cash for this guy. He never had to have a job. His mom took care of everything. He had every DVD. He would go buy them. He had all the Disney DVDs. He had all the comedies, all the stuff from National Lampoon.
How many did you sell?
Well, I didn't sell any of those. We sold his CDs back because he had so many more CDs than he had DVDs. But there was 2 things that were pretty cool. One thing was the next door neighbor's house.
DVDs were even out then.
We're not that old, Ted.
Yeah. The next door neighbors, their house was probably no more than 5 feet from us. But beside us was a parking lot because there was an appliance store that was right next door. In the summertime, we would run an extension cord out. We would set up the table. It was a white wall, and we would do movies in the parking lot. Now, this attracts chicks. He had like a little speaker that he would bring out, and we sat there and we watched movies in the parking lot. So it was kind of a cool deal. Like, what are we watching tonight? Let's go out.
Yeah, why not, man?
You know, get a couple cases of beer, sit down, put out a lawn chair, watch a movie on the side of a building.
We used to do it in Baltimore. We would take the couches out to the little crappy backyard.
Yeah.
Same thing. My buddy Steve would man the grill. We would put out a sheet, and we had a projector, and we'd watch movies.
Right. It was like
the good old days.
It was like drive-in movie. Everything was without a car. For better or worse, who was your most interesting roommate? 206-421-ROCK.
Hello, Joshua. Welcome to the men's room.
Hello, sir.
Hola.
So, my roommate story, my buddy and I had moved down to Salt Lake City, and him and his girlfriend had gotten in a fight, and she moved out, so we needed to find a roommate. Well, he was working at a French restaurant and decided to let one of the guys there move in. I was cool with it. He was pretty cool. Well, he took us to this nasty bar in Salt Lake City. I don't even remember the name of it. I don't even know if it's still there. We'll call him Mike because that was his name.
Wow, okay. That adds up.
I don't think he's listening. So anyways, they did karaoke at this bar. And this girl's just not attractive, nothing. Stretch pants, no underwear, camel toe for day, whatever. Well, he also brought a cat into the house who decided to take a dump about 3 feet from his bed. And for a week, he would be with that girl 3 feet away from cat poo.
Was he unaware that it was there, or was he just too lazy to pick up a pile of crap?
Oh, he was just too dumb and lazy.
I have been in someone's home before, and they had a dog, and there was dog crap all over the inside of the house to the point where a lot of it had dried.
Right.
You could smell it, but 4 or 5 different piles.
How does
carpet
anyone deal with that, man?
I've seen a house like that. They would let the dog run upstairs, and there was like a bedroom up there, and they would let the dog would just poop in the house. And same thing, but like when I went over there, I was sleeping up there, and I woke up in the middle of the night puking.
Probably because of the fumes.
Yeah, it's just gross, and like you can't. Like, it's just. I was like, we are never ever spending the night at this house again.
I think that one of the weirder things, it wasn't poop, but there's a chick named Lily. And Lily was fine. We all just kind of knew her from being around, but we went over to her place once, and we're sitting on the sofa. It's an old row home in Baltimore. So you have these big, massive fireplaces, big-ass mantle, and on top of the mantles, the usual dumb stuff, like her bobbleheads, whatever kind of garbage you collect when you're that age, young 20s. But there's a jar, and there's just something floating in the jar, and we're there for like an hour. And I mean, I just keep looking at the jar. I'm looking at my buddy Leon, look over at Paul, and we're all silently kind of telegraphing to each other, what do you think that is, man? Mm-hmm. We just cannot figure out what this thing is. So finally we go, hey, Lily, man, what's floating in the jar up there? She's like, oh, it's my cat's uterus. We're just like, oh, my God. Why do you still have it? She goes, I just think it's cool.
Jesus.
And it's one of those, like, okay, if you think it's cool, there's nothing we can do to make you think it's not cool. But after we realized what it was, then we just stared at it harder. I can tell you now, I remember what a cat's uterus looks like.
Oh,
I never wanted to.
I got one for
good
you.
on not knowing.
I did not want to know, but after she told me, then it kind of burns in your memory like, that's a cat's uterus.
My buddy messed up bad. He cheated on this girl. He was going out with her for 3 years. He was living with me at the time. When she came over to the house, everyone just stopped and turned and looked at her.
Okay.
She was
not
just,
creepy at all.
I mean, you could not believe that he pulled this off. I don't know why he cheated on her. She definitely found out about it, and I'll tell you how she found out about it. Because she walked into a bar, and he's in the corner with a girl, because she had a part-time job working for Winston-Salem.
Okay.
So what they would do is, at
she
the
was one of the
time,
cigarette girls.
I did not like Winston cigarettes, but I could get as many packs as he was willing to bring home, because he did not smoke. And she would come over, and I'm like, hey, Shelley, bring some more cigarettes.
Right.
Know? So I got comp cigarettes for like at least 2 months. She would go to a bar, and there was a slip of paper, and you filled it out, and she would either give you 1 or 2 packs of Winston's or Salem cigarettes.
I remember those days.
If you just gave her the rest of your cigarettes. Okay?
Yeah.
I got 3 cartons of Winston for half a pack of Marlboros in New Orleans in that deal.
Now, here's one thing you have to remember. The way that it was, the way that things were counted on her end to give the cigarettes away was that she had to get the pack of cigarettes.
Okay.
From the person at the bar, all right? the pack did not have to have cigarettes in it. So every pack of cigarettes that she confiscated, if it was a third of a pack, a half of a pack, she took all the cigarettes out. All she had to do was give the box or the soft pack. All of those cigarettes also became our cigarettes.
Right.
So we had everyone else's brands that were turned in, and then we had the cigarettes that she was distributing. And she would go to 7 or 8 different bars a night. Yeah, that was essentially her job. If she saw anybody smoking, everybody smoking in the bar, she'd walk up and say, "I'm with Winston. My name's Shelley. Fill out this form. I'll give you 2 packs of cigarettes for that pack of Marlboro Reds."
They did this for a couple of years.
And people were like, they were all over it.
I remember going to bars underage and seeing them all the time.
It was a win-win situation, man.
Yeah. Not only that.
They didn't even smoke, but when they were free, it's like, give me a pack of Cool.
Not only that, but at the time, Marlboro had Marlboro Miles on their pack. And she could legally cut those out. And so we had Marlboro Miles.
All right.
From all the packs of cigarettes that she got back. So then we had a cooler. We had a couple fold-out chairs. My buddy was going for a canoe, but right before he got to the point where he thought he could pull this off, he cheated on her.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no!
Yeah. I mean,
was she that much more attractive, or was it just shocking that he...
It was his old high school girlfriend.
All right, well, I'm just asking why you were like, we don't know how he pulled it off.
Oh, the Shelley girl. Oh, I don't know how he pulled that off.
Oh, really?
I have no idea.
He cheated on her, the old high school girlfriend.
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
All right.
And she walked into a bar where he was with her. And apparently they were canoodling. So,
wow, damn.
I know that's what...
Dude, you've already been there.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you've already been to it's like going back to your parents' house. Like, no, move on. You've got this now.
And keep in mind, cigarettes were only $2 a pack then, but $2 was still a lot of money when you wanted to spend your money in other places.
Sure. Like drugs.
So, yeah. So, it wasn't I was just like, I cannot believe... He didn't care because he didn't smoke. But everybody that did smoke in the house was like, oh, dude, you're killing me.
That'd have been a pipeline for me. They came up to me. I was living in New Orleans at the time. I'm outside smoking, talking to someone. And the chick comes up, and they did not hire anyone ugly, right? So if they talk to you,
they want to
definitely listen to the sales pitch.
Up.
So what kind of cigarette you smoke? Marlboro Reds. And I think I had like 6 cigarettes left or something like that. And she goes, I will take the rest of your cigarettes, and I'll give you a free pack of Winston. And I said, man, honest to God, I just don't smoke Winston. And she's like, do the math, man. I'm going to give you 20 cigarettes for 6. I'm like, no. She couldn't believe I'm turning it down. I just really, I like my Marlboro Reds. And in the end, I ended up negotiating. So I gave her 1 pack with 6 cigarettes in it, and she gave me 3 cartons of Winston. Well, what happens after you blow through 3 cartons of Winston? I had a taste for Winston.
I was going to say, you're a Winston smoker.
They had me for about 2 years, and then finally I reverted back, but I'm like, I'm fine, whatever.
Not only that, I would see this girl in the bar at least 3 times a week. They would come around a lot.
Yeah.
So I would also be able to get cigarettes from her when I was in the bar. As soon as this goes down with my roommate, I never saw her again. No. On campus, I never saw her in a bar. I wanted to ask her out. I wanted to ask her out on a date because my buddy was kind of he is what he is, but I thought, man, well, if she's going to give him a chance, I got a shot if I just ask, right?
If you dated him.
Right, because he was an idiot. So,
it's like talking to a 2-liter bottle.
I swear to God, I never saw her again. I was just like, you've got to be kidding me. I can't believe that.
Kill the cigarette game, dude. It's not okay.
Yeah. For better or worse, who is your most interesting roommate? 206-421-ROCK.
99.9 KISW. The men's room returns with Miles and Thrill.
So tasty. Men's roasted red salsa from San Juan Salsa Company. Holy cows, that's some good stuff.
It is good, man.
Football this weekend. Pick up some men's room roasted red salsa for your tailgate or your party at home, your barbecue, whatever you got going. By the way, if you're near a Haggard, apparently the salsa in a lot of locations, including Oak Harbor, the 4 Bellingham locations, Burlington, Ferndale, Lake Stevens, Lake Tapps, Marysville, Mount Vernon, Olympia, Snohomish, Stanwood, and Woodinville. All the reviews we've gotten, not one negative comment so far.
And that never happens with anything on this planet.
We get negative comments all day long here on the show.
Right.
Thank God the salsa's there. By the way, of course, a portion net proceeds from the salsa will go to supporting the Fisher House, which is a fine organization, 3 houses in the local area. So we appreciate
Hoping to have some this weekend.
Heck yeah. Our question, for better or worse, who is your most interesting roommate? 206-421-ROCK.
I'll reach out to the wife. I was like, what's going on? Oh, right. Okay. Hello, Rachel. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola.
Hola.
So I heard you guys a few minutes ago talking about how, some roommates aren't dumb enough to actually cocaine. Well, mine were,
What, they left their cocaine out?
Came home on a lunch break one day. I worked at a bank, go figure, and I came home on lunch break, and no one else was home at the time, but apparently people had been there at some point, and right there in the kitchen, there was some residue and a rolled up bill, like a $1 bill, and like some old coffee cards all in a stack there. And I straight up, you know it when you see it. Like, I've never done anything like that or anything, but looking at it, I was like, oh my goodness, what on earth are these guys doing?
Cocaine.
What the heck? Exactly. Oh my goodness. Like, I lived in a house I was one of 10 roommates altogether, and so I have many a story.
How big was your place that there were 10 people living in it?
So a lot of us were couples at the time, and so there was 5 rooms.
Okay.
And, it was very interesting because that same guy, because I know exactly who it was, we'll just call him Jack. And he not only did that, but he also, before that had happened, so I don't, do drugs I'm the drinker of the house, right?
Okay.
And so he actually had, I've done hookah because, it's just water vapor, whatever. And mostly because I'm allergic to weed, and I'm also I'm asthmatic, and so I was like, oh, I'll just try hookah, whatever. And he was like, oh yeah, this is just a vape pen, that's all this is. And I was like, oh, okay. And I was drinking at the time, so I didn't know what was going on, and took a hit off of his pen. Nope, it was a weed pen. And straight up, I almost went into anaphylactic shock.
Oh, God.
And almost needed to end up going to the hospital.
Jesus. Well, that's not fun.
Did you try any of Did you try any of their cocaine?
Absolutely not.
Okay, all right.
See, that's where you and I are different.
Yeah, see, there's a lot of roommates. 10's a lot. My daughter, a couple of years ago, she had one other roommate.
Mm-hmm.
So this past year, she decided that she was going to live in a house with 8 people.
All right. Why?
I don't know.
Okay. You got to let them live and learn.
This
How
year,
old is she?
She'll be 23 in December.
All right, so that's about right.
But now once again back to living with just one other person.
Oh, she back to one?
She could take it 1 year. And then after that, I was like, okay, this is absolutely too much.
Yeah, going from 1 to 8 that's a sizable,
right.
That's a sizable jump.
Even with family, I'm a little bit freaked out about having a roommate. My older daughter, she is graduating from graduate school, and she's going to be a teacher.
All right.
So there's one of 2 places that she can teach. She can teach in the Edmond School District, or she can teach in Seattle in the King County School District.
Can she teach overseas just based on
She's taught in Japan.
Of course, she already has. My bad.
She's taught in England. She's taught in a bunch of other
Christ.
places. But anyway, so she said, "Dad, if I get the teaching gig in Seattle, can I live with you?" And I was like, yeah.
Is there a time limit on that, man?
When will I masturbate? When will I?
Yeah, I mean,
it's fine. I love my daughter.
No, see, first of all,
that she's going to.
When you say it's fine, it's not okay. When people say, you know what, that's okay, I believe you mean it's okay. When you say it's fine, it means you've put me in a corner and I don't want to be an a-hole, so I'm going to, you know what I mean? Like, no, don't worry, it's fine. Somebody accidentally steps on your foot. It hurts a lot because they're wearing high heels.
Mm-hmm.
You go, it's fine. You're pissed. I know you didn't mean it on purpose. It's just fine. It's not even okay. It's just fine.
I started thinking like this. I'm going to have to stock my house up with food. I'm going to have all these things that I never really think about. Do we have creamer? Do we have all these things? Because
you just get up and go get coffee.
Yeah, I'll be running down there, but I'll be buying like 2 or whatever. But she never just gets coffee. She gets, a thing you did.
But I gotta say, I think I might. That'd be a tough one.
But I mean,
I wouldn't want to live in either of my parents' home now.
I would not want to do it. I chose not to. But if my kid, who has gone to graduate school, I know they're responsible kid. Because to your point,
my kids and I get along great. We have a really good time
I understand that. But if my daughter says, "Dad, hey man, I'm going to be in Seattle to start my career," right? You're just super proud, no doubt about it. Can I live with you? Like.
You have to buy a parking pass.
Baby, I love you. I do. I think I'd put a cap on it. Like, look, I can't tell you no because I dealt with you however many freaking years you lived with me anyway. But listen, man, seriously, just can we give it like 3 or 4 months? Can you?
Yeah, that's probably how long it would be.
Don't even pay me rent. I want you to save every freaking cent you have, really, so you can move out, man. So, yeah. That's, I mean, even now, right, because my parents are getting up there in age. My dad will be 82 in a couple of weeks. My mom is 79. Sorry, Mom, I know you want me to. She's plenty 9 years old, as she says. But she's like, well, if your father passes or if I pass, they seem to have this inclination that they are moving in with me, all right? And they can't say, like, well, no, right? And I'm just like, So right now, their debate is, as they're riding off into the sunset, they said, look, man, we want to have one big last hurrah, one last big splash. So they're thinking about moving. They're renting in the place they're at now. And at some point, they have to move out of there. I believe it's next January or February. Oh, Jesus Christ, it's only like 3 or 4 months away. So anyway, they were debating Mexico. They're debating Malta, right? They want to go international, see the world. And we're really encouraging them to do that, because if they don't, I know they'll at least be with me until they find their next place. And I did it once when they decided to move to Seattle, okay? My kids are like 4 and 2 years old. They're like, well, we want the grandkids to know us. I'm like, I get it. We're going to move to Seattle. Cool. Where'd you find a place? Well, we haven't yet. So we're going to get a hotel for a month, blah, 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 and find a place. Hang up the phone with my mother. Then I'm just kind of sitting there and drumming my fingers on the coffee table. My wife's like, what's up? And I'm like, I can't make them pay for a hotel room for a month. And the house we were in at that time, 1,600 square feet, that little tiny-ass bedroom in the basement.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, guys, if you didn't want to blow all that money on a hotel, you can, I mean, in theory, you could stay here. Great, we'll be there on this date.
Matter of fact, ding dong.
Right, because we're outside.
Jesus.
And to be honest with you, it wasn't that bad. It really wasn't, because they pretty much keep to themselves. My dad is actually a great roommate. He's one of these dudes who gets up at 5 o'clock every morning. Coffee is brewed. He will clean your house for you. He's just that guy,
My kid likes a good home-cooked meal. So back to that again.
Yeah, I mean, it's
I don't mind doing it.
Right. I mean, like, I love them. I do. But as I always point out, if I loved you that much, I'd have never moved out. It's not harsh, man.
Good news is I've got a brother and a sister, so if anything happens to my mom, I'm sure they will pick up the torch.
Well, now, see,
I got a 1 in 3 shot.
No, you're better off because they're based on location. When my parents were still in Baltimore when they first retired, my brother's right down the road in D.C., and I'm like, cool. Well, now they're in Seattle.
So your brother's like, cool.
Yeah, he's the one. Like, cool.
Yeah, and he's the one with the mansion. He's the one who's got a house where they can be there for a week and you wouldn't even see him.
He has no kids. His house, it's got to be like, I don't know, 5,000 square feet. It's just one of these big mansions outside of D.C., and it's a great house. It's a massive house. You don't need all this house. Surely my parents could fit in there. Surely they could.
That's another weird thing about parents sometimes. Like, they don't realize the joy that downsizing brings sometimes. It almost seems like my mom lives in the house that she lives in right now with my grandmother is a sizable house. It's 4 bedrooms and maybe even a 5th if you wanted to make it that. There's 2 people in there.
Right.
I don't understand why they don't get a place that's just ground level so no one has to walk up steps.
Right, at that age.
My grandmother's 96 years old. All those things, like, just get a 2-bedroom place that's manageable. That way that you can take your time and do other things. And you walk into these bedrooms, and it's almost like an antique store. It's things that are just like need to be thrown away.
And you just haven't gotten to it.
There's no reason to still have this stuff.
No, there's a reason not throwing it away. And I'm going to do this to my kids. They're going to let you deal with it when they pass.
Correct.
You know that's how that's going to work, man.
Correct.
Why would we get rid of it?
But it's frustrating from my end. I just know with my mother, it's beyond frustrating. It's like I don't. Nobody wants it.
Right. That's
I know you. So you're just keeping it to keep. If you want to admit that, fine. They're like, well, I hope somebody wants it. Like, I don't want it. Right? Like, I haven't lived in Maryland in 18 years.
I think that's so honest. No. I'm telling you now, I don't want it.
My mom.
Seriously, throw it away.
My mom has all the children's books that she had in her house when my kids were little. Now, she did, in fact, use those with my niece, my 2 nieces.
Sure.
And all that.
Who's your youngest family member now?
Peachy, yeah.
Peachy, get it right.
It's all...
I guess nobody to call her little...
But
no,
these
little's
are like
okay.
A little train that could or whatever, little engine that could. Like, really, like for 4 or 5-year-olds. She's got a Fisher-Price barn with plastic animals in it. She's got that thing that you push where the balls pop up. And all
what are those called?
It's like a popcorn roller.
Does anyone know what everyone knows what they are?
Yeah,
I don't know anyone who knows what they're called.
You know, like the puzzles that are wooden that have the little holders on them that you pull out because there's only like 6 pieces to
and
the
they still
entire
struggle.
cow puzzle. But anyway, I'm like, Mom, donate this stuff to the local church. They have a nursery. They have just donate to somebody so a kid can use stuffed animals, all these things. Like, what do you think? Give this. It's like misfit toys. Give these toys to someone who will actually enjoy them and use them. That's why they're there. They're there to bring joy to someone, even whatever it is. Like, they're not doing anything other than they're in 2 big boxes.
Right, collecting dust and doing nothing.
Why are you keeping this crap?
We just went through, as my wife says, the come to Jesus moment with a bunch of crap in our house because we're kind of redoing it. But for us, it's easy. Just like, man, I haven't worn this shirt in a while, off to Goodwill. But as we started going through the kids' rooms and going in the basement where they choose to live and do their thing, it's like, oh my God. Like, first of all, how old do you think this blueberry is? Because you could take it to the National History Museum. That's how old this thing is. How many Cheerios are under the sofa? We've gotten rid of so much crap. And so my wife actually went to Goodwill earlier this week. She's like, I had to go to 4 different locations because everyone is overflowing with crap. And I think it's the post-COVID, post-pandemic. Everyone's clean house. So she finally found a place that can take the stuff, and it just feels so much better.
My mom has the first
some of those Paisley shirts or whatever.
What, my Paisley shirts?
Yeah.
Nah, dog, I'm keeping every one.
Oh, I was going to say, if I'm in Goodwill, I mean, that's a come up.
Oh, all right. I was like, no. I have every one of my Paisley shirts. You will not touch my Paisley shirts.
Kind of shirt, I can imagine somebody walking through the Goodwill and being like, look at this, getting it.
I need to go to Goodwill to buy more Paisley shirts.
She's got shiny buckled shoes.
Oh, God.
For a baby.
Right.
For a dress up, like for a dress. So she bought the dress, she brought the leggings, she bought the shoes. They're black and they're shiny. They have a heel on the bottom of them. Kid can't walk. She still has those. She still has cute little onesies that she bought for when the baby would come over or whatever the deal is. So in case,
when they were babies,
there were accidents and something happened, then she'd have a change of
clothes. But I mean,
clothes.
baby shoes aren't even like that anymore.
No.
She thinks she's going to go hang out with the Pilgrims?
I don't know. Like white leggings. Like, where is this kid going? A wedding? Most weddings say no kids for a reason. Because you don't want a kid that small screaming and crying. God almighty.
You know the first pair of shoes my wife bought for my daughter?
Because they're cute, and she liked them when she bought them, and they were nice, and she does not want to get rid of them. I'm like, you can't even give them to somebody because the kid can't walk at that age.
The first pair of shoes my wife bought for my daughter. Keep in mind, my daughter couldn't even crawl yet, okay? I come home, and my wife's holding my daughter, and I said, babe, is that a pair of Nike Shox? And she says, yes, they are. And I lost my mind. I'm like, do you understand the point of Shox? Do you understand what the point of the Shox are? Because she can't walk, so she does not.
Correct.
She can't even crawl. You'd be better getting Nike Shox knee pads, knowing that she's going to crawl first. By the time she could walk, she'd way outgrown the Shox. And I'm like, how much were the Nike
The same
Shox?
price as the adult
same
ones.
freaking price
Yes, they are.
as what I bought them for me. I'm like, she can't walk. She doesn't need. It's like buying her Skechers. It's for people with bad feet. She can't walk, man. Like, you might as well buy her a pack of cigarettes and a bottle of Jack Daniels.
High heels.
Jesus Christ. It blew my mind. I'm like, man, I know you like dressing the kid up.
They're cute.
Yes. And that was the entire justification for this. And she was implaceable.
I could not pass them up.
Right. She was a boulder in the river of common sense there.
Yes, you could have passed them.
They were cute. I'm like, they are cute. It'd be cuter if she could walk in the goddamn
on her
thing.
car.
Right. Jesus.
For better or worse, who was your most interesting roommate? 206-421-ROCK.
Hello, Mary. Welcome to the men's room.
Well, hi there.
Hola.
Hola. Anyway, this is from way back when in the early 80s. I was entering my 4th year of an OBGYN residency at a great little 2-bedroom, 2-bath house, and the other roommate moved out. So, took somebody in who was a year behind me in the program. And things seemed to go along fairly well until she turned up pregnant. OBGYN resident. Yes, you heard me right. And
hey, you missed that class.
Yeah, and then one day, several months later, my then fiance and I were out and came home, and there were about 150 people crammed into our tiny, tiny little house because they were having a wedding reception, cake and full bar, and we weren't invited.
Oh, no. So what happens when you show up, but she's like, you got to go. Where's your invitation?
Yeah, exactly. The only good thing was that they had the sense to take our 2 cats and their litter box and their food and water and put them in our room and shut the door. But other than that, that pretty much takes some kind of a prize for clueless roommate.
But you had no indication that she was going to get married and then throw a 150-person reception?
No word whatsoever. And I saw this person at work literally every day.
So how awkward was it to go to work after that?
I think it was a lot more awkward for her than it was for me because, let me tell you, word got out quick.
Yeah.
And
well, let me ask you this, Mary.
A small program like that, everybody knew, and...
Could you, in theory, with the knowledge you have, let's just say you get pregnant. I know that's not practical, but could you give yourself a sonogram? Could you give yourself a sonogram?
Oh, yeah.
All right, that's what I'm saying. Like, you can take care of it on your own. All right, there's the penis. There's the
right.
I already know
it's a boy.
Exactly.
Also, you would think with that kind of training, you would know how to prevent an inadvertent pregnancy. But
You would hope
anyway,
so. You would hope so. Yeah.
Yeah, if you're no
maybe
BGY.
that's just me being judgmental.
Well, no, if you're an adult, I would assume that you understand how these things work.
All right, Mary, I got to ask you a question. This might not be the most couth thing I've ever asked, but I'm going to ask it anyway. If you were to round a number on the amount of vaginas that you've seen in your lifetime, what would that number be?
Thousands.
Thousands.
Delivered thousands of babies, so yeah, thousands.
That would be a weird job. What did you do? I looked at thousands and thousands of vaginas. Thousands.
I think it'd be awful.
I did too. Like when you're a teenager, you're like, I got to be a gynecologist. And then the older you get, I'm like, that is the last freaking job. Like, look, people that work at pizza places sometimes go, man, I just don't want to eat pizza anymore. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't want to be around a job.
At least for a little while.
I'm tired of vaginas. I'd love to. If I see another vagina today, I'm going to lose my mind. Like, I don't ever want those words to come out of my mouth.
Yeah. And every time a new customer comes in, it's a different vagina.
And you're passing judgment.
Yes.
What is that, turkey waddle? Just...
Well, also, it's almost like looking at a car that ran on a dirt track for 4 days.
Right.
It's not in the best condition. It doesn't look like it's showroom ready. It's been a while.
It needs to be detailed.
Exactly.
B.S. Chang walks in.
Right. See? And that's it, man.
Yeah, because what's the point of,
I would quit before I do that. I'd turn on my medical.
Right,
I'm not. You are not my patient.
This is a rally car that's been riding in the mud all day. It's not... Coming on the return of Who Sucks Less, you are listening to The Men's Room.
What's up? It's your boy, The Ted Smith. Thanks for listening to the Men's Room Daily Podcast. Want more? Check out the greatest podcast in all the land, The Podcast. Be sure to subscribe and listen to a brand new episode every Tuesday night.
The debauchery rolls on. You're listening to The Men's Room with Miles and Thrill. 99.9 KISW.
Who Sucks Less coming up at first time for a few emails from the men's room at KISW.com.
You've got mail. You've got mail.
To the birthdays, guys, I want to wish my happy birthday to my little man Braxton. He is 4 years old today, loves the show, been a fan all his life, all 4 years. How about a fish sandwich and Coach Ted getting him fired up about starting preschool tomorrow? We love you, little dude. Love Mommy, Daddy, and Big Sis Emma.
Fish sandwich.
Preschool. All right, what does Coach remember about preschool? Number one, we had a teacher named Mrs. Taylor, so we called her Mrs. Taylor's ham. She didn't find it funny. Number two, if you get the opportunity, I don't know, do they still have those giant blocks? You have those. Those are always good. We like to play with those a lot. Other than that, just get out there and dominate the puzzles.
Guys, our son is turning 12 today, just started middle school. Hoping Coach Ted could give him a rundown on the ins and outs of middle school. And a fish sandwich. Thanks, guys. That from Dad, Mom, Levi, and Carly.
I always forget. What is middle school? 6, 7, 8 or 5, 6, 7?
6, 7, 8.
6, 7, 8.
6, 7, 8.
All right, middle school. You're just starting, which is a nice upgrade from elementary school. Not a child. You're a middle schooler. Now, look, first year's going to be a little rough. There's going to be some older kids there. But by the time you finish middle school, you'll be running stuff. Maybe you're on the patrol. I don't know. The main thing is, 6th grade's a big year. You got to hunker down and get through this one. 7th and 8th, you got to cruise through. 6th is a big one. It's going to set up the table for the rest of the meal. Patrol this year.
Gentlemen, time to give a birthday shout out to our college girl and soulless Ginger Morgan on her 19th trip around the sun. She would love to hear a fish sandwich montage and some gets from Thrill. Guys, keep up the amazing work you do as an essential worker during the shutdowns. Your show was the best part of the day. And the happy hour rocks. That from Dad, Senior Chief of Thrill's Royal Navy.
Can I get
a filet of fish sandwich?
So you know I got
I'll have a fish sandwich.
Oh, brother, can I have a fish sandwich? With the cheese and the tartar on the side.
I'll order a fish sandwich.
Is it too early for a fish sandwich? Cheese and tartar on the side. Oh, yeah. I smell the fish sandwich. Maybe some dinner relish in the morning. At noon and at night.
I'll buy you a fish sandwich.
Though you don't want a fish sandwich?
Get. Hey, guys. Today's my fantastic Disney adult of a fiancé turning 27 years old today. To make her day better, can have Mickey and Goofy tell her what to do on her upcoming trip to Disney World. Thanks, guys, for the laughs. That is from Jordan.
Well, gosh, we sure are excited to have you down here in the happiest place on earth. If you leave it up to old Goofy, the thing you need to do is get naked and be spread eagle. Goofy's feeling it today.
Goofy's always feeling it. Sometimes we gotta calm him down and throw a bucket of water on him. And he starts shaking it off, getting all weird. All right, you're 27, so you're a full adult. I say you go to Epcot. You drink all the way around the world. The fireworks are amazing there. You won't remember them because you'll be hammering in England.
Hola, you people. Today's my 32nd birthday. I just want two things, an andro penis and Coach Ted giving me some advice on what to do now that I'm single for the first time in 5 years.
How old?
32. Thank you guys for everything you do. You are always there to brighten my days. That from the Ginger Mexican JC.
Andro penis.
You think JC's a man or a woman?
Andro penis.
JC, I'll say, is a man.
All right. Mexican Ginger. Well, first of all, what I would do is I'd walk around telling people I'm Canelo Anthony.
That's my first thought.
Right? Why can't you be Saul Alvarez? After that, you haven't been single in 5 years? Look, this is going to sound horrible and people are going to judge Coach, all right? Sometimes you just got to lean into a pitch and get on base, all right? You got that stench on you right now. Women can sense it. So I don't know if it's a late-night bar pickup, whatever. Just get back in the game, all right? You don't have to start out on the highest level. Once you get that one under your belt, you'll be good to go. Cruising back in there, being confident.
Hola, gentlemen. And Miles.
Oh.
I'd like to wish my damn self a happy one because that's how I roll. I moved to Seattle from Philly just before the pandemic. I wasn't able to find a whole lot about Seattle that I enjoyed due to the circumstances, but somehow stumbled upon your show. And that was super helpful. Keep doing what you guys do. You rock. How about a roof that don't leak, some shotgun gets, and an inspirational quote from Miles. By the way, Eagles rule and the Cowboys suck. Thanks, guys. That from Ern.
His friend, I emailed him. I can't talk nice about the Eagles.
Get. Okay. Here's a thought for you. Ern, you ever wonder if your dog always follows you into the bathroom when you have to go potty? Because you always follow him outside when he does, and he just thinks that's how the whole thing works.
Strong point.
I'm just here to pick it up in a bag, Dad. What are you doing behind the door?
I got a bag.
Why do dogs always go to the bathroom door when you're in there?
Because they know you're in there.
Same with cats. What you doing? Yeah.
I feel like everybody does it.
And your kids.
Except you, I would say, except your buddies. Your buddies are smart enough.
And your wife, girlfriend. Oh, look at Padres. I want to wish
What?
Right, exactly. Like, I'm pooping.
What 2 minutes.
think I'm doing?
Do you fathom how long 2 minutes?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
Yeah.
It's just give me 2 minutes, please.
Yes.
Or talking through the door.
That you're trying not to make all the nasty
I
noises.
try to give you your privacy while you're in there.
I will say this. If we're all sitting at somebody's, let's say we're sitting at Mike's, right? It's
right.
just us four. There's no women there. We're watching a sporting event. We're drinking beers. People are peeing. Leave the door open.
Oh, peeing?
Right?
Sure.
Like, we could talk sports. You could jump in the conversation. But if I'm closing the door, don't talk through it.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see here. Hola, compadres. I want to wish my beautiful wife, Maria, a very happy 42nd trip around the sun. Can you please give her a Kevin Hart damn? She wants a D. And the dirty Mexican/Germans. Talking about what I'm going to do to her tonight. All that with a side of green beans. Thank you. That from her coup husband, Beto. Thank you, bitches.
Damn. She wants a D, and she's going to get one.
Yeah, you want to know what he's going to do for your birthday tonight. I will put this in Spanish as best I can speak. Sexo and now sucio.
Yeah, I don't know what's up in Spanish, but, just walk into the room and say, ¿Qué tal, punta?
Green bean. Green bean.
Set the table.
Guys, today's my sister-in-law's 48th birthday. Her name is Tracy. How about Coach Ted giving her a pep talk about raising teenagers? That from Lindsay and Alonzo. Where in the hell?
Thanks for checking in, Zoe. I always like that name. All right, you're raising teenagers. First, I would say, buckle up. It's going to be a nightmare. If you have girl teenagers, it's going to be about 3 years where they just don't like you. Not really sure why. I've seen this with a lot of my friends. You have a boy teenager. You don't want to have this conversation, but tell them to be safe. Wrap it up. Other than that, I don't know. You got to figure out where your rules stand, but I have heard from some other parents, maybe, if you go to somebody's house, you have to agree to stay there. If you can pick up with them laying down.
All right, guys, here we go. Oh, God almighty, this thing. I hate this thing. We're going to try it again? All right, guys, here we go. Happy, happy, happy birthday. Happy, happy, happy birthday. Happy, happy, happy birthday to you, to you, to you.
Ya's a Dirty Germans brought to you by Men's Room Original Sausage. Available through Uli's World Famous Sausage, mensroomlive.com, and other fine retailers. Schweinefleisch.
Now, the men's room wants to know, who sucks last?
Hey, time for Who Sucks Last. Steve Thrill, you bring us 3 stories from the news each and every week. It's up to us to determine of the 3 stories which one sucks the least. Now, if you happen to follow KISW on Twitter and Facebook, the debate is already underway on Who Sucks Less.
All right, let's just sum it up this way. In all 3 stories, it's a matter of wasting people's time and resources. How do you have this so much time in your hand? And also, all 3 stories take place in Florida. Let's start with Florida woman number 1. In this case, Janiyah Douglas. She was arrested back in May on a felony charge for fleeing from cops while driving her Toyota on a road in Key Largo. After a sheriff's deputy spotted Douglas speeding over 90 miles an hour and driving recklessly at 7:45 in the morning, she continued to drive without stopping as the patrol car, with its siren and emergency lights activated, pursued her vehicle. Now, according to the police report, Douglas herself, she was observed, quote, looking at my patrol vehicle from behind as her window was cracked open. After driving for about 5 miles, Douglas approached a 3-way stop where another deputy deployed the spike system in front of the defendant's vehicle. Douglas, who stopped her car before running over the spike strip, she told police that she was running late for her job as a housekeeping supervisor at a resort. Well, the cop responded that she could have stopped her vehicle when I activated my light and siren, and at worst, maybe get a citation. That's all that would have been issued. But instead, her refusal to stop is criminal. It was at this point that Douglas mentioned twice that on her bucket list in high school, she wanted to be arrested for something simple. Well, Sergeant Robert Dosh reported, I explained that she fulfilled her bucket list. Now, during a recent court appearance, Douglas, who has no prior criminal history, she entered into a pretrial intervention agreement calling for her to serve 96 hours community service and pay $750 in court costs. She must also write a letter of apology to Dosh. All right, it was on her bucket list, so she kept going.
Bucket list from high school?
From high school.
How old is she?
She's 19 now, so it was a fresh bucket list.
Yeah, I don't think that counts.
What? She wanted to get arrested but she specifically for something simple.
I know, but the bucket list for people, bucket list.
Hey, that's her bucket list. Maybe she got bad news from the doctor.
Bucket list. Birthday weekend.
Another Florida woman. She's behind bars on felony narcotics charge after she approached a cop and asked, quote, "Can you arrest me? I have drugs on me." Police were handling a different call this particular Tuesday night outside of a St. Petersburg bar when Chelsea Lehigh, she requested to be busted by a corporal with the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office. She removed 2 small baggies from her pockets and handed them to the cops, saying they contained methamphetamine. Now, she might be weird, but she's not a liar. Field tests on the substance returned a positive result for meth. So she was arrested for possession of a controlled substance, which is a felony. Cops say the meth weighed about 2 grams. Anyway, she's being held in the county jail in lieu of $750 bond. Now, her prior rap sheet includes convictions for narcotics possession, theft, tampering with a motor vehicle, forgery, and leaving the scene of an accident. And now, you're not going to believe this, but we stay in Florida, where a woman this year alone has made more than 11,000 harassing phone calls to a police emergency communications center, or as we call it, 911. Carla Jefferson, 50 years old, She was busted on a misdemeanor charge of placing a torrent of phone calls to the St. Petersburg Police Department and the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office. Jefferson, during a single 24-hour period just last month, called the police department's emergency communications center 512 times. Again, this is in one day. Now, investigators say she harasses, belittles, swears at, argues with police employees or whoever answers her calls. They say the content of these phone calls are vulgar, threatening, or obscene, and contain extreme expletives, sexual innuendo, I think we can guess what that is, and belittling remarks to the communications staff. On some occasions, Jefferson has demanded that officers come to her St. Petersburg home and arrest her. But upon arrival, Jefferson then retreats inside, refuses to answer the door, and in the past has given officers the middle finger and screams at them through the windows. In a bid to get Jefferson to stop calling, police officials sent a certified letter informing her that further abuse of the non-emergency line will result in criminal charges. Though she dialed police from 2 separate numbers, she ignored the warning that finally prompted the cops to arrest her on a pair of misdemeanor counts. She was released from custody after posting a $400 bond. And then she was arrested a few days later for continuing her phone harassment even after her earlier arrest. Investigators say that Jefferson's 11,000 plus calls account for approximately 10% of the total call volume to the St. Petersburg Police Department. Anyway, her criminal history includes multiple felony and misdemeanor battery convictions and a total of 6 years in state prison. So again, and all three, these are not the worst things, but it's just a waste of resources. We have the woman who had her high school bucket list. So she drove 5 miles at 90 miles an hour just for the purpose of getting arrested. We have the other woman who had meth on her. To her credit, she rolled up to the cops and said, "I have meth, please arrest me." And finally, we have the woman who's placed over 11,000 harassing phone calls to the sheriff's department there in 1 year.
I mean, I think we'll agree with who sucks worse.
Who do you think sucks the most?
The woman calling 911 all the time.
I mean, it's 10% of their total volume.
She's taking time, emergency services time.
Correct.
In case there was an actual emergency. Believe it or not, I mean, Florida's God's waiting room. So there's a lot of people there who do call emergency services. They slip and they fall. There's heart attacks. There's strokes that go down. So that's pretty important.
But think about it. 1 out of every 10 calls they get is from her. And it's never an emergency.
I will also say this, Ted. The woman who's speeding on basically Highway 1, I know that area down there. It is, sometimes it's a 2-lane road, oftentimes it's 4, but it's a very narrow road. She's going over 90 miles an hour. So she put other people's lives in danger while being chased by police with the sirens and the lights on. It might have taken her a little time in between keys to find a place to pull over, because most of that road is bridge. But at the same time, based on the speed, based on the time in the morning, people are on that road. I'm going to say that the person who was doing meth and walked up to the officer and said, "Can you arrest me? I have drugs." The only person she was hurting was herself. In this instance, as far as
I think she was making a good call. I get the feeling she's like, I have a problem.
I got to get clean.
Right.
I think she sucks the least.
Yeah, I mean, look, the girl who went on the police chase, I think, is an idiot. But she's 19.
Mm-hmm. It's an good age to be an idiot.
Right, like, she doesn't have anything else on her. Also, you just got, I mean, let's be honest. You got to think about the fun factor.
Right. And here's the thing. And I know it's Florida where apparently you can do anything you want, but you lead cops on a high-speed chase. You admit that they went on a high-speed chase, and the punishment, 96 hours community service, $750 fine.
Also, when you're on a high-speed chase...
You know what? I'm going to be honest with you. Cops, if I could drive 5 miles at 90 miles an hour with you guys blazing behind me, making it obvious you're chasing me, and the worst I have to do is give you $750 and 96 hours community service, I'm doing it all day.
Also, they're calling ahead for you. They put down strips.
But she stopped her car
She
before
did stop before that, but other resources are being used because they don't know what she's up to and what is really going on until they ask her. So, I mean...
Fun factor. It's the only reason I'm defending her and say she sucks the least. The other lady just went up and said I have meth on me and went to jail, which is also still eating up time in the cops' time, but jail time.
I think the difference is this. At least in her case, she's eating up the time, but there's nothing false about it.
Correct, but there's nothing fun about it.
It's not fun for anyone, but at least the cops are like, thank you for making this easy.
I guess, I'm sure cops probably are used to odd stuff, but as a cop, I'd almost be like, you gotta be kidding me. Now you don't really have drugs on you. Or like, just get away from me.
And then she does.
And then she does, and it's like, all right, well, now I gotta arrest you.
But she wanted to be arrested. To me, she made it easy. Like, hey, we made a drug bust, if you want to call it that, but...
Do you think that's somebody trying to, like,
get clean, or she's just that high? Just kind of like,
I got to stop at some point.
I don't know. I'm trying to find the better angels in this in my mind, just based on her prior rap sheet, because you got a lot of drugs on her. Like, I want to get clean. She's on meth. She might just be high.
She might have been up for 5 days.
A lot of people can't afford a drug rehabilitation clinic.
Sure.
A lot of people can afford to go to an alcohol rehab.
Yeah, but Ted might be right, too.
But if you're in jail, you're going to be guaranteed to detox. So if you want to get clean...
If that were her goal.
Yes, exactly.
Depends on the jail.
Yes.
Debate continues on Who Sucks Less if you follow KISW on Twitter and Facebook. You are listening to The Men's Room.
When 4x4 isn't enough, you need 4xE. Check out the incredible lineup of 4xE vehicles only from Jeep, like the Jeep Wrangler 4xE, the #1 selling hybrid in America, or the 2023 Jeep Grand Cherokee 4xE, the most advanced Jeep Grand Cherokee yet. Right now, customers may qualify for a $7,500 tax credit until February 28th. Experience the power of 4xE. Visit Jeep.com today. This incentive is offered by a third party. Amount of tax credit might vary for each individual taxpayer. Federal tax credit is subject to change without notice. Consult a tax professional for details and eligibility requirements. Not all buyers will qualify. Jeep and the Jeep Grill are registered trademarks of FCA US LLC.
99.9 KISW. The shenanigans continue. This is the Men's Room with Miles and Thrill.
All right, couple of minutes. We'll drink and toast with the shot of the day. And we do have your headlines on the way at 5:50. But first, a quick check out with Mike Hawk and some of the stories and headlines he is not working on.
Whoops. All right. A new study found that early risers that remain active throughout the day are happier and sharper mentally, especially in old age.
Really?
Right.
I've been trying to get up a little earlier. I admit I'm a lot more productive around the house in the morning. But boy, I hate getting out of bed.
I just want you to think about the guy that we know that gets up the earliest of anybody on this planet, and he's sitting a few studios down.
I know.
He's so chipper.
He is.
Yeah.
He's happy guy.
Happier than everybody else.
I'm a happy boy. Happy boy. I'm a happy boy.
Especially in his old age.
Hey.
Give me a lighter. Because I'm happy that I've been up since 3 a.m.
That was a pity hug.
You know what the problem is? Here's what his problem is. It's not about him getting up early, but he immediately checks his email.
He does.
I'm like,
he goes right to work.
Don't just give yourself a minute.
For real.
Because you know you're going to nightmare territory, brother.
I know he's a coffee guy. I mean, brew that coffee up real nice, smell it a little bit, get some fresh air, maybe take yourself for a walk. Don't dive right into work, man.
Don't do it.
Just a bad idea. However, he might be sharper mentally than anybody in the room.
That I will not argue.
So, I will give him that. Only 47% of Americans can name the 3 branches of government.
Oh, my God.
Only 47%.
Then don't complain. That's all. Don't complain. Shut up.
25% can't name a single one.
There's only 3 of them. It's not like there's 47 freaking things. There's 3.
And then after a while, you learn what it is that they do, and then it just...
checks and balances.
Becomes easy to remember what they are. One legislates, one executes, and there's one that's the judiciary.
That's it, man. That's all there is. It kind of covers all the bases.
Right.
It's a simple thing.
Right. We accept President, Congress, Supreme Court.
No.
Judges?
I know.
Was that big dummy? Somebody said that. Like, these people fulfilled that, but what are they called?
We need rule makers. We need people to carry out the rules that have been made. And then we need people to judge whether or not you actually broke the rules.
Right.
Ta-da. Rules.
47%.
47% can name all 3. We're doing great.
It's funny because I'm on social media a lot and everybody's really good.
Everybody knows everything they're talking about.
Oh, yeah.
But you can't name the 3 goddamn branches of government that you're mad at. Come on, man. Shut up.
3 branches, let's see. The one that you take down to the Capitol and you hold up the sign.
Right. The one you go to the court and hold up the sign.
Hold up the sign.
And the one you go to the White House and hold up a sign.
The one where you block the road.
Right.
According to a study in the Middle East, wearing glasses actually makes you look dumber. Huh. So over here, glasses... culturally are a sign of better, we tend to think people with glasses are smarter. They just look smarter for whatever reason. Over in the Middle East, they think you look stupid.
That's where they make all the contacts.
That's probably what it is.
Exactly.
Come on, man. What the hell?
Just for a
know your racket.
No, you're a racket.
I mean, I knew somebody that bought glasses just to look smarter.
Did it
really?
I don't know. He was a bit of a strange... I really liked the guy, but he had some strange things.
There's my daughter watches this TikToker. I don't know this chick's name. Complete smoke show. She has these glasses, and the glasses make her look sexy. I don't know if she's smart. I don't think she's stupid.
Sure.
But the glasses do nothing to make her look smart.
Okay.
But they do make her look hot.
They are an accent.
Yes, they are.
Very good. Homebay.com did a survey of the cities that we'd like to move to.
Okay.
Cities that we'd like to
Cities
move
that
to.
we'd like
In
to
the
move
US.
to. They did have a bunch of other factors, but I didn't care enough to write them down.
All right.
Virginia Beach being the number one city that we want to move to. I've been
Really?
I've been to Virginia Beach. It was rainy when I went there, but it was okay.
The thing about Virginia Beach and that specific, it's kind of like South Beach in Miami. Like that specific thing can be fun and there's some cool stuff, but then there's Norfolk and Portsmouth, Tidewater, and it's like, man, you need to be tough as soon as you leave Virginia Beach. Keep your head on the swivel and be a badass.
I was talking to somebody recently about living in Virginia Beach, and I was like, we just never went there. We always went to Ocean City, or you'd go to the Delaware beaches.
Well, my grandparents lived in Portsmouth.
Right.
So we go to, but again, just Portsmouth, Tidewater, Norfolk, and Virginia Beach is literally a stone's throw away.
Also,
like, dude, it's a different animal.
I feel like the more south you live down 95 from D.C., the more you are inclined to go to Virginia Beach, and then everyone else goes exactly the way you said.
And again, I've told the story 1,000 times. Thrill's not kidding. I was lost in Norfolk. I pulled up next to a cop, rolled down my window. He goes, "You're lost. Follow me to the highway."
Damn.
Because I was just in the neighborhood.
I'll put this in perspective. Years ago, I'm maybe 10 or 11 years old, and we went to visit my grandparents. This is on my mom's side of the family. And they live in Norfolk. So my father, being funny to my grandfather, goes, "What do you call someone from Norfolk anyway?" My grandfather looked straight down and said, "N-bomb." That's what everybody else calls us.
Mike, we were in Baltimore one night driving around, and Steve's like, "We got to get out of here. They're going to think we're cops. We're going to get shot."
Yeah.
Jeez. LA is dead last, by the way. The weird thing about this survey, they had to have asked the survey takers, as it were, the people in the survey, what is the one that you want to move to and what is the one that you do not want to move to? Because in that same survey, the top cities that we want to see or that we want to move to, plenty of those are also in the cities that we do not want to move to.
But you know what's weird? When you say L.A., and if you've been to L.A., you understand this, but like, L.A. is not a city. It's like a conglomeration of 80 different. So,
It's a
if you say Orange County, that's different than East L.A. So you can call it L.A. So if your perception of L.A. is the dirty part of Hollywood or lower Hollywood Hills, it's like, okay, you don't want to go there.
Right.
If you are looking at Orange County, or you go like, Jesus, man, you can't afford it, but that would be great to live there.
Well, if I was a rapper and I had kids or whatever, I'd move to Salt Lake City.
Sure. You'll get left alone out there.
Yeah, I have no desire to really move to L.A. No. But Orange County is amazing.
But it's part of L.A., right? So, but that's the weird thing about it. It's like most cities, when you say the city, you have a general idea of what the city's like. L.A. is 140 different things.
Gotcha. Someone polled 2,000 people and asked them to name things you should accomplish or at least strive for by the time you hit the age of 40.
Sorry. Somebody here, I'm not going to say their name, somebody here knows the exact YouTuber I was talking about.
Is it right, though?
I am going to check tonight because she watches it every night, but I'm telling you, if she just analyzes videos, and she's kind of funny with her interpretation of what other people are doing, but I mean, yeah, she's hot. She's hot. And like I said, you look at the glasses like, I don't think you're dumb by any
Okay.
Because she's
I can see it. I can see it.
Hold on. Let me make sure.
I can see it. This makes sense. This makes sense. I can. Okay.
Bam!
Yeah.
That is her.
All right.
Right.
I see it.
She's very quick-witted. She's very clever.
Oh,
she's pretty funny with some of the stuff, but man, oh man. You want to watch this with me? Okay. She thinks I'm being a good dad. It's like, no.
She has the quick wit, all right.
Yes.
All right. Anyway, things that you should accomplish or at least strive for by the time you hit 40. Which brings us to
The Men's Room Top 10. The Men's Room Top 10.
40 things you should do by the time you're 40. Well, let's see. I've been married. I've been divorced. I own multiple pieces of property. I own land. I drink whiskey. I smoke cigars. I guess the only thing I haven't done is Lori Longbottom.
Wow. That was personal. Wow.
He's not kidding.
Yeah. Well, he gets up early. That's how he got all that done.
Well, if the early bird gets the worm, he's got the wrong sex going
We
on.
know you don't know who Lori Longbottom is, but if you knew who she was, you'd be like, VD is spot on.
So a little bit different here on the Men's Room Top 10. We got 40 things that you should do by the time you're 40. They did break it down into 5 categories. Y'all over here are over the age of 40. Let's see if we found them. The category number 5 is random life events. So have you guys owned a pet?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Not on my own.
Not okay. Have a really bad hangover.
Yeah.
Sure.
Almost every day we do the show, yes.
Win at least $10 on a lottery ticket, Miles.
Yes.
Yep.
115 today.
And a boy.
I've done it too, but played a lot less than Miles has.
Tried to be a vegetarian.
No.
I did it for like a month.
I've done it, yep.
I've done all these
Really?
things so far.
Yeah.
Huh.
Wife was one for a couple of years.
It was a bet we had on the show.
Oh, God, that's right. You know I don't remember the stuff.
I know.
Attend a black tie event.
Yes.
Well, of course.
Not by my choosing, but yes, I have.
I don't know if I have done that.
You were married. You've done it. I'm
Yeah.
just telling you, bro.
Okay, all right.
You have
But
done
a black tie would mean everybody has to wear a tux.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yes.
And I don't think that
When's the last time you've been to a wedding where everybody wore a tux?
East Coast.
Oh, damn.
All right.
Yeah, trust me.
He goes to some.
That's where dress is very important in the business
And
world.
Texas.
I've been to a black tie event, wore a white jacket. It was awesome.
Nice.
And you can meet Tiger Woods.
I mean, I guess the prom's a black tie event, then yes.
What's that?
The prom?
Nah, I can't count prom.
Okay, I'm just saying.
Having gone skinny dipping, I've done that as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Many times.
Good times.
In the ocean.
Who swims with, well, depending on who you're around. But
It was the perk of working at the pool that I did. After everybody was
Yeah.
gone, I was able to jump at the pool.
Yeah.
It was fun.
It's a hot tub naked.
Fight someone.
Yep.
Yeah,
sure.
of course.
I don't think I've literally fought
Mike,
somebody.
you will
We need
know.
to beat
you,
Mike's
will, you
ass.
will know in adult life the people that you know for a fact have never been punched in the face, based on the
Yes.
way that they act.
Right.
If they act completely out of hand and they just are really inappropriate,
Yeah.
you know for a fact that person has never been punched in the face, and they need to be, because that will absolutely bring you down.
Category number 4, living arrangements. Okay.
What do you mean?
Well, what I mean is, have you had an apartment in the middle of a city?
Yes.
Yep.
I have not. Lived outside of the city? I have.
Yes. Yeah.
No.
No kidding. We gotta get you out of my area, Ted.
And I grew up in the suburbs.
Ted
of
would
DC,
crush
but it's
it in your
still-
area.
He would.
But it's still I still grew up inside the Beltway. So, I mean, that part of PG County, technically it's not in the city, but...
Ted would be a rock star.
But it's the city. Right.
Right.
Outside
You
the
wouldn't be-
city
you wouldn't-
limits, it's
right.
the city.
You wouldn't be able to tell the difference.
And then buy a house. I've not done that.
Yep.
And have a mortgage.
Yep. Yay. Yeah.
Part of that whole house thing.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking, aren't they kind of one the same?
They are.
40 things that you should do by the time that you're 40. We move to category number 3, travel. So have you visited another continent? I have.
Yes.
Another continent? No.
You've not been off this rock?
Nope.
No kidding.
I mean, Hawaii is probably the farthest away,
but
okay.
no.
That's
But
still
no, that's
within
not
the
another
continent.
continent.
Okay. Alrighty. Soon.
Yes, exactly right.
Go.
Soon.
Go on a cruise.
No.
Yep.
I have been
I'm
on a
not.
cruise. I love a cruise, man.
Depending who and how you are, because I'm a horrible person and I should not be around people. The cruise I took, I know. The cruise I took.
No, I'm getting chirped at by our boy.
The cruise I took was the one I liked, right? It was a European one. My friends were trying to convince me to go on a cruise, and I said, trap me on a boat for a week with people I don't know. Somebody's going overboard. It'll probably be me. They took me on a European cruise. Every day you're in a different port of call. It was great.
It's awesome.
You don't have to really deal with people. It's seriously, dude, it is so worth it.
I'd like to do an Alaskan one, too.
Really?
I want to do that one, too.
The last thing I read about an Alaskan cruise, who was on that? Was it Grant Hill?
Oh, yeah, because we saw him downtown. I did.
That one had something, and then there's one that hit an iceberg last week. Not Titanic style, but they still hit it.
I had a bunch of cousins and uncles. They just went on it. They were fine.
There we go. Gone whale watching.
Except they got gored by a moose.
I have gone whale watching.
I have not.
I have not seen a whale. But I still, like, if you do it around
Then
here...
are you whale watching?
Hold on,
If you
hold
don't,
on.
you're water watching.
Here's the cool thing about it, if you go on a whale expedition around here. The one I left was in Everett. So basically what they say is, you pay this much money, you don't see a whale, you get a free ticket back to come back whenever you want to go back out.
All right.
If you don't see one. Well, I don't know where that ticket is, but we didn't see a whale.
Someone here says, hasn't Miles been to Jamaica? Is that a different continent?
No,
still
no,
part of the North American continent.
I have not done whale watching here, but I've done it off the coast of Massachusetts, and you see the humpbacks. It was pretty awesome.
All right.
I did it
I have seen-
unexpectedly at a bar one time in Pennsylvania.
Time out. I have been whale watching and seen a whale in Hawaii.
There you go.
I was not whale watching, but saw whales in Hawaii.
Seen a Broadway show.
Yes. Not on Broadway.
Not on Broadway.
Yes.
But it was Hamilton. My wife, when Hamilton was big, when it first started traveling, I did not want to see it. She wanted to see it. I was like, I'm not spending that much money on a ticket. So she texted me and says, hey, I entered the lottery for the chance to win a ticket. And I said, oh, okay, you go ahead. About 2 weeks later, she's like, I won the lottery.
Seen some of these 7 wonders of the world.
I was going to say, I've seen the Book of Mormon.
Nice.
Seven wonders of the world.
Yeah.
Which are?
I don't know. I forget.
Well, there's natural wonders, in which case I have, but there's the man-made wonders, which is like Machu Picchu, the pyramids, the Great Wall of China, stuff like that.
Right.
I haven't seen any of those, but I also haven't been to any of those countries.
Great Pyramid of Giza in Egypt.
Yeah.
Giza. Hanging Gardens of Babylon.
They're no longer there.
They fell,
Statue
dude.
of Zeus. Temple of Artemis. Colosseum. Lighthouse of Alexandria. Yeah, no. No.
And then finally, fly first class at least once.
Yes.
Which I have.
Yep.
It's awesome.
It is great.
40 things you should do by the time that you're 40. I'm going to run through career stuff here real quick. Just tell me if you've done it. Have you earned a degree?
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Reached management level?
No.
Got fired?
Yes.
Started a business?
No.
Landed your dream job?
Yes.
Volunteered?
Yes.
Saved for retirement?
Yes.
All right. And then finally, we have relationship stuff. These are 40 things that you should do by the time that you're 40. In relationship stuff, we have falling in love.
Yeah.
Have a one-night stand. Sure.
Yeah.
Not done that. Have your heart broken.
Yes.
Yep.
Got married.
Yeah.
Had a kid.
Yes.
There you go. 40 things.
What about getting a divorce?
40 things
You don't get the end chapter of the book?
that you should do. Well, hopefully that's not the last chapter, man.
It normally is.
A driver in Sri Lanka had his bus stolen, but the one that stole it has a good reason.
Did you say his butt?
Bus.
Bus.
Sorry.
Stolen.
Okay.
Someone stole my butt.
Tell you all about it at 5:50.
Thank you, sir. Headlines are coming up at 5:50. In the meantime, it's going to get tested on the line for Profile This at 206-421-ROCK.
What's up? It's your boy, the Ted Smith. Thanks for listening to the Men's Room Daily Podcast. Want more? Check out the greatest podcast in all the land, the podcast. Be sure to subscribe and listen to a brand new episode every Tuesday night.
All right, we made it to drinking time.
Somebody out there deserves to be recognized. And the men's room knows just who it is. So to you, we say, bottoms up, sailor. You're the toast of our shot of the day.
Drink time it is, and as usual, we head to the drink desk and Steve at Thrill Hill to find out who we're toasting.
Yes, indeed. And today we toast 40-year-old Thomas Nyobo of Mpumalanga, South Africa. If you think, there's no way I said that right, Mike. Just clap to make me feel better. I'm telling you right now, I did not get that right. Here's the thing. Today's honoree, he has been on the run for the last 7 years after stealing hardware products worth more than $1,200 while working as a delivery driver. This happened back in 2015. Well, he diverted deliveries to other addresses without the owner's consent or knowledge, and then went on the run as soon as his manager realized what was up. So since then, his name was added to the police wanted criminal list as soon as his employer filed a complaint against him, but he's managed to avoid capture for 7 years. But then just last month, our honoree walked into the police station. Why? To complain that he hadn't received a reply to his application for a job at the station. He wanted to know what the holdup was. So they asked for his name, and when they looked it up, they realized who he was, and they arrested him. He is now known as South Africa's dumbest criminal. So congratulations. What is your line of thinking that I've been on the run for 7 years, I've avoided authorities, and then you apply for a job at the police station that is heading up the investigation for finding you? That's what happens. He didn't even do it on social media. Anyway, he was arrested. So we pour this booze and we drink this booze because we think it's yummy.
Yummy!
So over the tongue and down the throat to party in our tummies.
Down the hola bichola!
The men's room presents Profile This.
And Steve at Thrill Hill, could you please tell everyone how Profile This is played?
I sure can, Miles. It's a simple game where we share with you a real-life news story. Something that happened right here on planet Earth. Earth. And as you listen to the story, based on the stereotypes you believe to be true of people and the decisions that people make, we'll ask you what it is you think makes the story a story. Hello, Patrick. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola!
Hola! All right, Patrick, you understand how this here game is played. Hello, Patrick.
Yeah.
You understand how this game is? All right, perfect. You have your choice of one of three stories.
Yes, I do.
Where are you going?
Let's go eat it.
Eat it.
All right, he's on it.
All right, here's the story. We go to Japan, where a man who ate a McDonald's meal over the summer found an unwelcome ingredient in his sausage McMuffin?
Oh, not that.
Way to ruin it.
The object was found in the man's meal when he visited the restaurant back in August. An outside firm was actually hired to conduct an investigation and confirmed that it was, in fact, what he thought it was. Now, health officials say it's unlikely that the object entered the food at the restaurant. But unlikely, of course, doesn't mean impossible. But inspectors have already let the local franchise off the hook. So authorities investigated the Japanese firm that made the muffin and the U.S. firm that made the sausage, but the origin of the object still cannot be determined. I don't know about you, that's comforting. But the question is, what did he find in this McDonald's sausage McMuffin? Was it a condom, a human tooth, a Band-Aid, or a beak? So condom, tooth, Band-Aid, or beak, he found one of these four things in his sausage McMuffin.
Oh, geez. Do they even use poultry and sausage at McDonald's?
It's McDonald's. I don't know.
No, it's a
but
pork
if
sausage.
they don't, it doesn't mean. Look, they don't use Band-Aids, condoms, or teeth either, man. So no matter what.
All right, Patrick, here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to say this. A beak, sausage making, bread, maybe a bird could have got into the dough, but I don't think that's the case. A tooth, if it was a pig tooth, I'd say maybe, but it's a human tooth. So I'm going to go Band-Aid. It's pretty... When you
I've
see
seen
it
with
you know,
my own eyes,
when you
man.
see it, you know what it is.
I mean, you said they already said, hey, look, this didn't come from the restaurant.
Did not. They determined it did not come from the restaurant.
Came
They
from the source
cannot
material.
but they can't determine. So far, it's not the people that made the muffins in Japan. They say it's not from the meat producers in the U.S.
Ooh, it could be from the egg.
I don't know.
I'm going condom then.
Condom for 10.
I want it to be a condom. Let's go condom.
Condom.
I'm glad that you want it to be. That's
Condom McBlufflin.
That's going to cost you extra.
What was in that bad boy? Was it a condom, a tooth, a Band-Aid, or a beak? We'll find out next.
That was a tease.
99.9 KISW. We return to the men's room with Miles and Thrill.
Our category is Eat It On Profile. This man in Japan found something in his sausage McMuffin. He identified the object correctly, by the way.
it's kind of obvious.
Discernible. So, question is, was it a condom, a tooth, a Band-Aid, or a beak?
And Patrick, that is the question that we posed to you. You agreed with E.T. Smith, and you went with a condom because Patrick, in your own words, and this is disturbing, I want it to be a condom. Terrible news. I'm so sorry, Patrick. He did not find a condom in his sausage McMuffin. You can't win them all. You can't win them all. Miles, you went with the old Band-Aid.
How do you go Band-Aid?
No, not a Band-Aid.
Huh.
No, he found a human tooth. And yeah.
Oh, God.
Think about that. And the fact that the investigators are like, that is a human tooth. But here's my problem. How do you let the franchise off the hook? Because you go like, look, man, somebody lost a tooth, right?
Correct.
Like you said, a beak could end up because they're using eggs to make the muffins. The condom, obviously, whatever. But like, it's a tooth. Somebody's missing a tooth. And their tooth fell out of their mouth, and their tooth ended up in this man's goddamn sausage McMuffin.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I don't know. To me, it seems like it should be a fairly
Well,
easy
not that it's the most
investigation.
pressing issue in the world, but DNA could confirm whose tooth that was.
Or does everybody smile? Right, because you know what tooth
At the sausage factory? We need a lineup.
Right.
I will say, I one time, like an idiot, cracked a tooth and didn't realize it, and was eating something and was like, oh, this is weird and chewy. And
it was your own tooth?
Yes.
I've
but
done
I'll
that.
never forget, like, this. And I was like, I thought I was eating shells. I was shooting oysters. So I thought I was eating part of the shell.
See, that makes sense.
Yeah,
It was like,
It actually
screw
does.
it.
It does.
Yeah, but it was like, oh, that was my own tooth.
I found a Band-Aid in a pizza dough once. And it's an open kitchen. And the pizza, it was made at a bakery that was affiliated with that restaurant. And like anything, and people watch you when you're making a pizza, and we had the brick oven pizza, all this kind of thing. So people are watching. And one of the things that happens a lot, you did with the air bubble in the dough, you just kind of take your fist, you smash it out, it goes away. Sometimes, like air bubbles do, it'll kind of move to the other side of the dough. So I'd hit it, and it kind of moved, and I hit it again, and this air bubble just wouldn't pop. But again, people are watching, so I kind of pulled the dough down, opened it up, and it was a Band-Aid. And we tracked it down, so I told the chef, his wife ran the bakery that supplied the dough, and they realized that one of her workers, the Band-Aid, had slipped off their finger.
Yeah, and dough's sticky.
Yeah, dude, and it was just like, ew, man.
Yeah, good times.
Yeah, Band-Aid.
Now for all TV news all time for TV Time with 10.
And now,
because your pathetic life is confined to countless hours in front of a talking box. Armageddon. The Men's Room presents TV Time with Ted.
All right, your choices today. You got Seth Meyers.
Okay.
You got the Jimmys.
Kimmel Fallon.
You got James Corden.
Oh, James Corden.
Or Ted Smith.
Is it Ted or is it late night?
And it's right there. The title of these guys have talented teams of writers come over to monologues each and every night. It is up to you to determine, is this an actual late night joke and from whom? Or could it be a The Ted Smith original?
Apple allows you to edit and unsend messages now, and after your third time editing a message, you get a notification that says, you're drunk, go to bed.
Fallon. Ted Smith.
Fallon.
Apple just released a new software update that lets you edit and unsend messages. Yeah, and this is nice. After your third time editing a message, you get a notification that says, you're drunk, go to bed.
This was the lowest rated Emmy show ever. Only 5.92 million people watched the show on NBC. But that's not the whole story because it was also on Peacock. So when you add in the stream numbers, it's still 5.92 million people.
I'm going to guess Fallon or Myers. Fallon. Kimmel.
This was the lowest rated Emmy show ever. Only 5.92 million people watched the show on NBC, but that's not really the whole story. It's not fair. It was also on Peacock, so when you add in the people who streamed it, there's still 5.92 million people.
Also, they put it up against the debut of Monday Night Football in a great matchup. I mean, I don't know if they planned that. They probably booked this stuff a year in advance. Right, we're West Coast. Right, sorry.
Yeah.
East Coast, yes, it did. West Coast. Right, yeah.
An animal lover in Australia has died following an attack by his pet kangaroo, and what the BBC reports is the first fatal kangaroo attack reported in the country in 86 years. Friends tried to help, but it was too late by the time they jumped in.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah, that's me.
You're very punny. We all love our puns on this show. So I'm like, if there's a pun, it's probably Ted.
I couldn't figure out a way to, talk about the little pocket.
I don't. The first thing you want to go is pouch, right? Hot pocket.
Elon Musk, his college girlfriend, is auctioning off personal items from their relationship, including photographs, a birthday card, and upward of 3 kids.
Jesus. Myers. Yeah, Myers.
Yeah, that's Seth.
Elon Musk's college girlfriend is auctioning off personal items from their relationship, including photographs, a birthday card, and upwards of 3 kids.
Peloton has been having a rough year, and its co-founders are leaving the company. It was time for a change. Peloton has been stationary for years.
It's Fallon.
Peloton's been having a tough year, and they just announced that their co-founders are leaving the company. It was time for a change. Peloton's been stationary for too long.
I did watch some more of that series I've been following on Vice, The Dark Side of Comedy.
Mm-hmm.
So they end up playing, or maybe I just don't watch it religiously every week, but there's always a couple of them, right? It's like I had seen one on Roseanne. Last night there was 2 of them. One of them was on Richard Pryor, which I thought I knew a decent amount about Richard Pryor. I did not. Like, you hear about the drug use and this and that.
You knew it caught on fire.
I did. I just didn't realize that he basically had, 3 careers. Like, he had, his first stuff where he gets pretty big, but then he doesn't basically, he's like, I feel like I'm just kind of doing stuff for a white audience.
All right.
So then he comes back with some records. Then he's, not really working for a while. He comes back with some records that are just crazy.
Look up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane.
Yeah, a little more. Yeah. Right. A lot of language, obviously, I would not use. Yes. But then he starts writing actually, he was so far down, he couldn't get jobs and everything, but a lot of it had to do with his drug use. And people are like, man, you've never seen anybody use drugs the way Richard Pryor did. Mm-hmm. Like, just starting with cocaine. Right. Then it ends up, he starts freebasing it and everything. But then he ends up going to Africa and comes back, and he had been using the N-word a lot, and a lot of the people they interview on the show are other black comedians. So some of them are older. They're like, look, it's a word we grew up in, using it all the time between other black people. But he goes to Africa and comes back, and then kind of starts almost like his third set of his career, where he stopped using the word, kind of changed his act up a little bit more. Mm-hmm. But I think think for him to get to that third one, he had to get out that angst in the second one.
Sure.
And I shouldn't say angst. That's downplaying what he was doing. And for the audience he was giving it to was awesome. He gave that a voice.
Yeah. My parents went to the tour he did when he came back from Africa. I remember this because obviously I could not go. We had a babysitter that night, whatever. But the next day, my mom is still smiling because apparently it was that funny. She did not tell me a lot of the jokes, but specifically, it's just funny you bring this up. She specifically talked about him talking about his trip to Africa. And granted, I'm maybe 10 to 12 years old. So the jokes she told me, you could deal with, but it was funny to me then. But now I'm giggling about the stuff my mom told me about what he said his experience was like in Africa. Yeah, man,
my parents went and saw Eddie Murphy doing Raw, and I was so upset that I didn't see that because I knew Eddie Murphy from Saturday Night Live. Sure. I had not heard that album yet. It was released after the fact, and the video was released after the fact. Yeah. When I saw, I was like, "Oh my God, I cannot believe I didn't go to that." Also, Richard Pryor,
he was also on Saturday Night Live
as a cast member.
Yeah,
for 1 year.
For 1 year. And like to the point where he was like, hey, like I need to bring in some other black writers because somebody asked him once, they said, how do you feel about having a white writer? And he said, if any writer writes for me as a human being, that's fine.
Right.
He was like, but I don't need, basically he's like, I don't need a white person writing about the black experience for me because that kind of pisses me off. So like when he was on there's a famous skit with them doing ward association.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I just like basically
Chevy Chase,
right? And he writes the whole skit. Like I had never even seen it. It is hilarious.
It's very funny.
But Chevy Chase drops the N-word.
Right, and it's poignant.
Mm-hmm. But at that time, you could still do that because people understood what comedy was, and everybody said
Archie Bunker would say it every once in a while.
But that was the point of the show.
Soap, they would drop it every once in a while.
But it was about
that was
the
Benson. What's the guy's name? Oh God,
Richard Gere.
Yeah, he would drop it.
But it was about the times, and I can attest to this. This is fresh after the whole civil rights thing. So you're talking about the times, and at those times, people like Archie Bunker having a hard time adjusting to what the new world was going to be.
Yeah, we just got a message. I was just going to bring this up. Pryor was probably one of the first people who admitted they were bisexual publicly and had no problem with it. As far as somebody that famous goes. I don't know if I brought that up, but that was kind of a big deal. And also his third round, he ended up getting with Gene Wilder and doing movies. And
right. That's when you get like the toy and all that kind of stuff. But it just
Silver Streak.
Again, like I said, that show is very good. I thought I knew a lot about Richard Pryor, but you read this stuff, and when you see that show and see all the stuff, it's like holy cow! Like he did a lot. And again, it's just shocking to see. Like basically, he almost has 3 careers.
You had to be a lot more pioneering back then. As far as the black experience went. And then everybody goes, you can have the gay experience, you can have the transgender experience, all these things, and there's different pioneers to push these walls down. But the black experience, as far as people took it, that was the first one.
I think he was in The Wiz, too.
He was, right. Yeah. So, but you kind of made that happen.
Richard, and that's the thing you got to keep in mind. Like growing up the way he grew up, like people were like, he could have easily been a pimp. He was born in a whorehouse. He also could sing. Like he was a very entertaining dude. He just happened to be that funny and that good of a writer. But also, there's some crazy stories. Like they're working on a movie set, and there's a white guy eating watermelon, and he spits a seed, and it just goes a little far, and I guess like lands at Pryor's feet. And he takes this. He's like he is so upset, and like people are like Richard, like did you? He was just trying to spit it in the trash can. Like don't sweat it. He comes back with not one but 2 guns.
Jesus,
and starts going off on the guy. So like. And sometimes you got to wonder, is he, I know he's struggling. Obviously, you're struggling with some eternal pain when you're going through that much drug use and everything else. Sure. But also, it's just crazy sometimes when you see these artists, like, they're so extreme. It's like, I don't know. It's hard to tell somebody what that line is because do you get that same art if he isn't that insane? Also, now, obviously, you don't want him. You don't want him on a 36-hour cocaine binge with 2 loaded guns in the studio.
And also, when a lifetime of racism, you're going to crack. You're eventually going to crack.
No. Yeah, but there was just other people saying, like, they were like, sometimes he would just fly off for like the little, and it's like, dude, that is not.
This is not an offense toward you.
Correct.
But when you're always on edge, think about it. Both of us know some guys that have been in prison for a while, got out, and it's almost like PTSD in that sense. To hear the loud noise, they have a quick reaction. If you say the wrong thing, even though it's not your intent, there's a reaction to it, And when you come from a place. If you've had to struggle or do something, you kind of wear that with you for as long as you're going to live. You can work a lot of it out, but that is in your DNA. That's
right, and there's a lot of bad stuff in there, too. And, like, look, they interview one of his ex-girlfriends and stuff, and some of them even talk about the partying. And, I mean, they are just like, you have never seen a man do as many drugs as he did. And literally, I mean, he would just go for 3 days. That was with cocaine. And then when he starts freebasing it and everything, how he catches his hair on fire is he was dipping the glass pipe in like bourbon or something. And then lighting that on fire. And he had been in there for 2.5, 3 days. Somebody even went in there and said, hey, man, first of all, you need to put that pipe down. But second of all, like, that is going to catch on fire.
Yeah. Cocaine, by the way, in the late 70s, early 80s, was not the worst thing. Everyone was doing it. So if you were of that age, and you talk about John Belushi and everyone else, I mean, whether it was Stevie Nicks,
Belushi, when you hear about John Belushi, he overdosed. But like some of the stories, honestly, he is not as big of a partier as kind of his like it's like the myth around him was.
Okay.
Whereas Richard, I mean, look, I've watched a lot of shows of people that party, bands, and everything else. I have never seen people are just like you can't imagine the amount of drugs he would do, and I'm like, that is wild, right? I mean, I've seen shows on Ozzy and everything, but they're just like, man, and you're right. They're like, look, everybody was partying, but they're like,
Richard was like him,
right? Richard was crazy. All right, Squid Game. Thrill, have you watched it?
I haven't, although, now, it sounds stupid. When the kids are in school and football season's back, I have more time to actually watch the crap I want to watch. This summer's been a wash. I know Squid Game's been out forever, but I plan on watching it this year. And this is what helps. My wife has no interest in it. See, the shows she wants to watch, the problem is she falls asleep on the couch by 9:30.
All right.
But if it's a show she wants to watch with me, I'm like, it's that you can't, TV cheat, stream cheat, whatever the hell they call it. So I got to wait. But the kids, so put it this way. I can watch Squid Game. I might even fire it up tonight.
See, that's funny because I was telling Mike the other day. I feel like I watch less regular TV once football season starts. But also, you're not a college nerd like I am.
Right? Mine's always
like
late
Wednesday.
night.
Like Wednesday night, I'd be like, oh, it's time for some action. Thursday night, you have NFL and college.
Right.
Friday night is college. Saturday's all day college. Then you have Sunday and Monday. So it's like, if I don't watch a show on Tuesday, I'm not going to watch.
Mine is Sunday night, right? So you watch football. I will do the NFL Network recap. By then, everyone's asleep. So Sunday nights, typically by about 10 o'clock, that is when I start getting into whatever I'm going to watch.
That's a good call.
So it might be 3 different shows, but that's the one night of the week where I will cram all the crap in that I want to see.
Yeah. So Squid Game, basically the show is about capitalism and greed can destroy people's lives. Netflix is making a reality show about it with a cash prize. So they asked the guy who created the show what he thought about it. He said, quote, what I hope is that they would carry on my vision and intention as much as possible for the show. He's like, look, I think that even our show does carry quite a heavy message. Whether you take things too seriously, that's really not the best way to go for your entertainment industry. So he's kind of like, all right, whatever. Squid Game, The Challenge, is a 10-episode series with a prize of $4.56 million.
But the fact that they're not actually going to be killed lessens... Not that I'm asking for them to be murdered. It's not that. But it's like the excitement of Squid Game, as I understand it, is like, no, dude, you die.
Right, and there's chances for them to stop the game.
All right.
But they don't.
Of course not.
Honestly, Squid Game is great. The only thing that really sucked about it, and Mike, I'm sure you back me up, is the ending.
Yeah.
All right, let me ask you this before I get into this.
I want to strangle that person.
Do I want to watch subtitles or do I want the overdub?
How did I watch?
I've heard
the interpretation of both is a little questionable, right?
All right, look, I watch. If it's a mixed language like Narcos, I leave on. I'll read.
Okay,
but that one's all in Korean, so I just watched it dubbed over. There's a couple times you'll really notice it, but I thought it was all right.
I can ignore it. It's like porn. There's no way he delivers pizza.
Sometimes, honestly, it's just the end of the night. Like I put on the tube to kind of veg out. I don't want to read.
No, I guess
right, and again, if you're remotely distracted, you can hear it.
Right. If you're watching subtitles, you got to read it. Like if you miss it, you miss it. That's why I said like Narcos. I love that show. I can never eat anything and watch it. You put your head down for 2 seconds, you miss.
Right, you miss something.
Handmaid's Tale. That's a 5th season premiere. That's out on Hulu.
Texas.
And then America's Got Talent, the finale tonight, NBC, 9 p.m.
Thank you, Ted. We appreciate it. You're listening to The Men's Room.
The Men's Room Room returns with Miles and Thrill. Now, let's see what's happening in the real world.
All right, here we go. A giant ninja bear has been terrorizing dairy farms and cows for 3 straight years. Meanwhile, a stripper performs for wheelchair seniors who shed many and many tears. Thieves break into a bar in England and steal $1,000 worth of gin. Toddler makes other kids cry with her terrifying doll with an evil grin. And a horny teenager steals a bus to go and visit his girlfriend. It's time for your headline.
Now, it's time to hit the headlines. Here's my car.
All right, top story, we go to Sri Lanka. A local bus driver wanted to grab himself a bite to eat and stepped off at a nearby spot. But when he got back from dinner, he found that his bus was missing. His bus, Mr. Hill. Let's see.
We almost did.
He lodged a complaint with police, who found it driving around in the middle of the night. They pulled the bus over, and after a short foot chase, were able to apprehend the culprit, a 15-year-old that admitted to stealing the bus so that he could drive to visit his girlfriend.
He's going to get some booty.
Damn right.
Look, man, I'll put it this way. When it comes to sex, weird things happen, right?
They do.
They talk about the sloth. That is the slowest animal on
Correct.
Earth. Then during mating season. And keep in mind, where the sloth lives, tigers live.
Yeah.
The last thing it wants to do is go on the ground because a tiger's fast, a sloth is slow. And then during mating season, I hear it's called a female. Homie is swimming in the water upstream like Michael Phelps.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's about to get some sloth butt.
Wants to go get it.
Apparently, sloth butt is worth it. It's worth risking tigers.
Salmon do it.
I did it right. The salmon will swim upstream.
They will.
No one to get eaten down there.
Right.
They didn't have intercourse.
No.
So where the eggs at?
They're going to die afterward, too.
Yeah.
There's a little.
And then, as Ted knows, the
touching.
otters jump into the stream and then eat the eggs.
I mean, it's just amazing. You're right. They swim all the way up the stream. You got to dodge all the animals trying to kill you, suffocation, and then you put some sperm on these eggs, and you're so exhausted you die.
Then the otters eat the eggs.
Why did that kangaroo kill that guy in Australia? Did you read through the story?
No.
All right.
I did not.
So it's about 3 years old. It is a male, and it's mating season.
Oh.
And if you're upright, that's a challenge.
Right.
So any animal that's upright,
if you
is a
kangaroo
challenge.
butt, kangaroo butt worth killing a man. Sloth butt worth risking tigers.
That's
now
right.
we know.
No. Like animals that you make eye contact with,
Right.
which it could be a threat compared to not being a threat.
Sri Lankan butt, we're stealing a bus.
Look, if you took fights over women, I think bar fights would cut down. But somebody disrespects your girl, you got to say something.
Will Smith slapped a man on national TV.
Right. Like
not because he laughed at. No, he wasn't mad.
Right.
He laughed at the joke, but his wife didn't laugh and say, "How
she
dare
laughed."
No, she didn't.
No.
They needed to go up there and slap. Remember, she looked all pissed off. Will was like,
He laughed.
"Oh, it's
He
not
laughed.
funny. Oh, my bad, baby."
In other news, an unnecessary...
She got that sloth booty.
She got that sloth booty. Here I am upriver, and this is what I got. An unnecessary situation in Pennsylvania. 2 men got themselves into an argument regarding one of the most sensitive of topics. We've argued about it several times in here, gentlemen, the context of food. I don't know what exactly they were fighting about because the story does not detail what the argument was actually about, but it did eventually boil to the point that one started to throw fists. The other did manage to return a couple blows, but things got a little bit more intense when the first striker upped the ante by arming himself with a cinder block and clubbing the other over the head with it.
I'm going to guess it was Wawa then, or Sheets.
Okay.
maybe
the was outside in a park, the food was from a gas station.
Maybe one dude just burned something.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
He then proceeded to strangle the man with his forearm, asking if he was done before he was pulled off by a witness. The man was treated for his injuries, and the other was arrested on a list of charges. He says that really the reason why he came out alive in this is because as that cinder block was coming down, he did flinch it just a little bit. And
as far as that area of the country, Ohio and Pennsylvania gives a lot of states a run for its money.
Really?
Mm-hmm. They sure do.
A Subway in Michigan came under fire for a little something extra on someone's sandwich. This is kind of nasty, but it's not.
I haven't heard this one.
I know. I just don't like the setup.
In a TikTok that has since gone viral, a woman says that she was digging into her sandwich when a nasty smell seemingly started coming from the packaging.
Is this a euphemism or she means the sandwich?
Oh, no. She looked about the wrapper and found an unknown brown substance on the wrapper. And from the smell, she assumed that it was fecal matter.
They tested it.
She lodged a complaint and a sample was taken, with the company claiming that it was merely chocolate from a cookie. The lab test confirmed the chain's defense. It was just chocolate
from
a
cookie.
All right.
Yeah.
I feel a lot better.
A nursing home in Taiwan felt the need to apologize for their Mid-Autumn Festival celebration, though I don't know why. In an attempt to make the residents happy for the holiday, the nursing home solicited services of a stripper. There's video of the dancer performing her raunchy routine, even giving an elder man in a wheelchair a lap dance to the applause and entertainment of the rest of the room.
Right, because
they were happy. They're people.
What are you?
It's a person. It's a human being.
That was the point of doing this.
Because they're in a wheelchair and a man, you don't think they're a normal human being?
But what do you apologize
I mean, my God, there's a reason there's strip clubs.
I guess.
I don't even have to be on my deathbed. If I'm sick, send strippers.
Yes.
Yeah, they recently made an apology, but that's it for your headlines. With that, my caucus out.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate it. Big dummy tomorrow. The head chef's back with Ted Meat and Potatoes, and the lovely Taryn Daly's up next.
Yes, indeed. It's all true, but in the meantime, well, we be all about this bitch for 180 seconds or so. So until then, please do what you do best. And for Aletha's sake, stay beautiful.
The Men's Room has been taped before a live studio audience. Wardrobe and makeup provided by Mantastic Limited. This has been a presentation of the Men's Room Radio Network. Oh, man! A Double Flush production.